Chapter 432. A not-to-be-missed drama. _6. Li Tingji knew that Li Xianxia didn't like him. He had always known. But he still wanted to try. Xianxia, things have already happened. Marry me, I will be good to you in the future. Li Tingji. You are too selfish. Li Xianxia suddenly added weight to her tone. I didn't want it to happen. If you're not helping me now, it's fine. But you're using this to coerce me. Do you realize how hard it was for me to decide to see you? But you actually threatened me. Li Tingji became anxious. I'm sorry, Xianxia, I didn't mean it that way. I know I am wrong to you. Rest assured I won't pressure you, nor will I intimidate you to listen to whatever you say. After all, the one who was in the wrong was him towards Li Xianxia. That Li Xianxia could have been so composed was already beyond ordinary people. Come here. Li Xianxia spoke softly. Li Tingji leaned his head down. Li Xianxia whispered something in his ear. Hearing this, Li Tingji nodded and said, All right, leave this matter to me. His agreement came easily, but his eyes flashed with a look of pain. The Ni family. Ni Tsuehua was making chili strips in the kitchen. Adding to Ni Yan's recipe, she sprinkled another layer of white sesame onto the ready-made spicy strips. The spicy taste was combined with the aroma of sesame, leaving a delightful flavor in the mouth with each bite. Once the chili strips were ready, Ni Tsuehua filled up a big iron pot with them. She made a lot of chili strips, filling up an entire pot. Ni Tsuehua pushed out her bicycle, fixed little Ni Yun onto the child's seat, covered the iron pot full of chili strips with a plastic bag, and finally tied it onto the bike. By the time all this was done, it was already 3:30 p.m. Ni Tsuehua rode her bike towards the city center. At 4 p.m., Ni Tsuehua parked her bike in front of a primary school at the city center. Yes, Ni Tsuehua had come to sell chili strips. Ni Yan was so outstanding, she didn't want to be a useless mother, idling away at home every day. She wanted to do something too. The chili strips tasted so good, she was certain they would sell out in front of the school gate. Ni Tsuehua took out the chili strips and displayed them on a big stone by the roadside. Little Ni Yun sat in the bike's rear seat, not crying or making a fuss, exceptionally obedient. At 4:10 p.m., the school bell rang for the end of the day. Ding ding ding, a crowd of primary school students in school uniforms swarmed out. Ni Tsuehua, standing by the roadside, suddenly felt a little nervous. Coming out to sell something for the first time, she didn't know what to do. There were also others nearby selling buns and snacks, who didn't need to do anything for the children to rush to them. Some wanted the sesame candy costing 5 yuan and others the sugared ice costing 3 yuan. Yet not a single student came to her. It was her first day setting up a stall and the big iron pot wasn't filled with colorful candies or delicious juice, so the children, not knowing what she was selling, naturally wouldn't come over. What should she do now? Ni Tsuehua wanted to call out, but lacked the courage. She didn't know how to call out and felt extremely embarrassed. So when all the students had left, Ni Tsuehua hadn't sold a single chili strip. This was a bit beyond Ni Kuihua's expectations. She had thought that it would be easy to do business, but she encountered a setback the day she started selling chili strips. At 5:30 p.m., Ni Tsuehua left with her cart, critically reviewing why she couldn't sell any chili strips. The main reason was pride. Others didn't know what she was selling or if it was nice, so naturally she couldn't sell anything. No, she needed to find a solution. Ni Tsuehua thought about this as she cycled. The next day, Ni Tsuehua went to the school gate as usual. Unlike yesterday, she brought along a cushion fan today. When the students got out of school, she began to fan the air and announce, Chili strips, 2 yuan each. The delightful aroma was successfully wafted out, and after shouting a few times, Ni Tsuehua found that it wasn't as embarrassing. Thus, she continued to call out a second time, a third time. However, since chili strips was a novel term, these children hadn't heard of it before and naturally wouldn't approach to inquire. Finally, a primary school student was drawn by the tantalizing smell and asked, Auntie, what do you call this? It smells so good. With a little customer approaching, Ni Tsuehua was naturally joyous. These are chili strips, fragrant and spicy, very delicious. Is it exceptionally spicy? Although the aroma was enticing, the child had never tasted it before and was a little hesitant. Tsuehua picked up a small piece with a toothpick and passed it to the child. Kid, why don't you try it? Thank you, Auntie. The little customer reached out to receive it. There wasn't a child capable of resisting chili strips. The spicy and numbing sensation was simply too good. Furthermore, Tsuehua was generous with the seasonings, even adding her own special blend of spices, making the taste even more satisfying. People would hate to waste any bit, almost regretting not sucking their fingers clean. The little customer finished the bite-sized sample and was left wanting more. Immediately she asked, Auntie, is it 2 yuan per chili strip? Yes. Tsuehua nodded smilingly. It'll take 3. The little customer immediately took out 6 yuan to give to Tsuehua. Tsuehua promptly wrapped the chili strips and handed them to her. Thanks to the first little customer's word of mouth, the second and third customers quickly joined in. In a short time, all the chili strips in the large iron pot were sold out. Tsuehua felt it was as incredible as a dream. When she returned home, Tsuehua counted the money she had earned from selling chili strips that day. Adding up all the small change, it turned out to be 6 yuan in total. 6 yuan a day meant 180 yuan a month. This was much better than an average salary worker. Moreover, she only had to sell for a short while at 4 p.m. each day. This wouldn't disrupt her household chores either. For several consecutive days, Tsuehua went out to sell chili strips to supplement the family income. The term chili strip gradually circulated among a group of primary school students. The other vendors nearby saw how good Kuihua's business was and followed suit, causing envy. Today was Mo Baichuan's birthday. Mo Baichuan didn't want to be extravagant, but his good brother Li Tingji and several other friends insisted on holding a birthday party for him. Mo Baichuan couldn't refuse, so he had to agree. Because of the previous incident, Mo Baichuan always felt guilty towards Li Xianxia, so he went to invite her personally. Thinking of Yen, he intentionally let the news slip to Yen and also invited Mo Qishan to join. As he knew, Yang would certainly come on the pretext of joining Mo Baichuan. Chapter 433. Mo Baichuan's Strategy, Big Brother's Marriage Proposal _1. So, Mo Baichuan's next move was to compensate Li Xianxia well, so as to provoke Yang. The venue for Li Tingzi's birthday party for Mo Baichuan was a large restaurant in Beijing. By 7 o'clock in the evening, Mo Baichuan arrived punctually under Li Xianxian's dormitory. For her part, Li Xianxia showed up, looking beautiful and radiant before Mo Baichuan, not pretending to be ignorant, as though she had forgotten the incident of that day. Baichuan. Seeing Li Xianxia in such a magnanimous state deepened Mo Baichuan's guilt, and he took the initiative to open her car door. Sit. Thank you. Li Xianxia leaned in and sat. Within a short time, the car had arrived at the restaurant entrance. Thinking that Yang and Mo Qishan were probably already there, Mo Baichuan took the initiative to link arms with Li Xianxia and proceed into the restaurant. Li Xianxia looked at their linked arms, a faint curve forming at the corner of her mouth. After tonight, Mo Baichuan would wholly belong to her. As soon as the two walked into the private room, they were showered with streamers by good friends hiding in the dark. Happy birthday! It was the first time for Mo Baichuan to introduce Li Xianxia to these friends, and the crowd teased him. Baichuan, who is the beauty beside you? Baichuan, won't you introduce her to us? Maintaining his composure, Mo Baichuan scanned his gaze across the crowd. This is my girlfriend Li Xianxia. Girlfriend? The iron tree that hadn't bloomed for 1,000 years has finally blossomed, and he has a girlfriend. Everyone scrambled to greet Li Xianxia. She comported herself very well, showing the demeanor fitting to her heritage. Mo Baichuan's expression was a bit complicated, as Mo Qishan and Yang were not among these people. Yang didn't come? Where was Yang? Usually, Yang wouldn't skip a birthday party like this. Hadn't he let someone inform her? Could it possibly be that Yang was on her way now? Yes, Yang must be en route. Mo Baichuan withdrew his gaze nonchalantly. After their friends made a ruckus in the private room, when it was time to order dishes, neither Mo Qixin nor Ni Yang had come. Was Ni Yang trying to make a late grand entrance to attract everyone's attention? Considering her character, this was likely. Mo Baichuan didn't wait for Ni Yang and passed the menu to Li Xianxian for her to order the food. All of this was observed by Li Tingji, who was sitting across from them. A murky light flashed in his eyes and his fists clenched inside his sleeves. No one can understand the feeling of pushing the person you love most into another man's arms. It hurts his heart, but he had to keep it to himself. Just as almost all the dishes had been served, the door of the private room was pushed open again. Without a second thought, he knew Mo Qixin and Ni Yang must be the ones who came. Looking up, Mo Baichuan saw Mo Qixin as expected. He knew Ni Yang would come eventually. A mocking gleam flashed in Mo Baichuan's eyes. "Nephew, happy birthday. I got held up and came late." Mo Qixin still seemed frivolous and careless as ever. The rest of the table showed disdain towards Mo Qixin's arrival. He was nothing more than a good-for-nothing. He wasn't worth their extra glance. If Mo Qixin weren't Mo Baichuan's uncle, he wouldn't even have the privilege to share a table with them. Although there were plenty of spoilt brats among the upper class, none was as utterly worthless as Mo Qixin. "Uncle." Mo Baichuan stood up politely, pulling out a chair for Mo Qixin. Mo Qixin took the seat without refusal, examined the room with his eyes, sat in the first position nonchalantly, chest folded, legs on the table, the very picture of a spoilt brat. A useless person wasn't scary. What was disturbing was that he didn't feel embarrassed about his actions but acted presumptuously. How did the 100-year-old Mo family end up with such a person? Everyone else at the table shook their heads helplessly. Mo Baichuan glanced casually at the restaurant entrance, furrowing his brows subtly. Did only Mo Qixin come? Where was Ni Yang? Why didn't Ni Yang come with Mo Qixin? Had they broken up? If they indeed had broken up, would Ni Yang start taking steps to attract his attention next? Couldn't she hold back anymore? He knew it. Ni Yang couldn't have been infatuated with a worthless person like Mo Qixin. A sneering light flashed in the depth of Mo Baichuan's eyes. Li Xianxian, looking at Mo Qixin with a smile, asked the question that lingered in Mo Baichuan's heart, "Uncle, how come your fiancé did not come with you?" Chapter 434. Mo Baichuan's Tactics, Bigwig's Proposal _2. The future sixth aunt-in-law? Upon hearing this, everyone else around was stunned. Mo Qixin has a girlfriend now. Who knows which girl is blind enough to be with this useless Mo Qixin? It must not be a decent girl, probably a gold digger out of the slums, only interested in the Mo family's fortune to date Mo Qixin. Otherwise, could this useless Mo Qixin possibly find a girlfriend in their circles? A gold digger and a good-for-nothing, what a perfect match they must be. Upon such thoughts, everyone's gazes became even more contemptuous. Without caring about the disdain from others, Mo Qixin picked up his glass, took a sip of red wine, and coldly said, "Your sixth aunt is afraid of being bothered by some mad dog." A mad dog? Mo Baichuan's face turned dark. He didn't really want to lose his temper in front of his elder relative Mo Qixin. Ni Yang clearly was the one who dumped Mo Qixin, yet he twisted it up now. Pathetic, truly pathetic. He has no self-awareness at all. Li Xianxian pretended not to understand. "What kind of joke are you making, uncle? Where would there be any mad dogs around?" Mo Qixin gave a faint smile. "Isn't it clear to you if there are mad dogs around?" After finishing, he stood upright and looked down at Mo Baichuan. "I've already wished you a happy birthday, nephew. I have to leave now due to other matters." Other matters? What kind of business could Mo Qixin have? Someone jeered. "Young Master Mo, you seem to be a busy man. May I know what urgent business you need to attend to?" The enjoyment of a warm evening in the embrace of love is also a big deal in life. You're right. Eating, drinking, and having fun are important too, right? At that, the room burst into laughter. Mo Qixin didn't get angry, took his hat from the waiter and put it on. The dark brim hid his elegant eyes and also the ridiculing expression in them. Interestingly, all of Mo Baichuan's friends considered themselves juniors in front of Mo Qixin, But Mo Baichuan didn't even attempt to intervene, he just got up and said, "Uncle, let me see you out." Li Xianxian stood up and followed Mo Baichuan's pace. The two escorted Mo Qishan to the door. As Mo Qishan walked out, he looked up at the moon in the sky. The cold moonlight coated him with a silver halo, revealing a subtle mystique. Suddenly he missed Yang. Mo Qishan sighed lightly. Striving to present Yang with all the finest things in the world, he had been busy all these days. Counting the time, they hadn't seen each other for over 10 days. "Sir." A black luxury car pulled up in front of Mo Qishan. Marcus got out of the car and respectfully opened the back door. Mo Qishan leaned into the back seat. "Sir, in a few days, it will be Miss Ni's younger sister Ni Yun's first birthday. Do you need us to prepare a gift?" Morris, who was sitting in the co-driver's seat, looked back at Mo Qishan. A spark flickered in Mo Qishan's eyes. "No need, I will prepare it myself." Prepare the gift himself? Upon hearing this, both Marcus and Morris were slightly taken aback. It seemed that this Miss Ni really was special. Mo Qishan unbuttoned the second button on his white shirt and said, "Clear my schedule for tomorrow morning." "Understood." Marcus nodded his head. Inside the restaurant, in a private room, a group of people were clapping and singing happy birthday to Mo Baichuan. Li Xianxian cut the cake for Mo Baichuan herself. Looking at this beautiful and warm scene, Li Ting kept drinking, and even forgot about thing that Li Xianxian had asked him to do. "Tingji, have some cake." Li Xianxian placed a piece of cake in front of Li Ting. Li Ting took one look at her and came back to his senses. "Thank you, sister-in-law." Now, he ought to call Li Xianxian sister-in-law, because everyone in the private room was calling her sister-in-law. If he didn't, it would undoubtedly arouse suspicion. "No worries." Li Xianxian smiled gently, but the look in her eyes served as a reminder. Li Ting immediately understood the meaning in Li Xianxian's eyes and raised his glass, looking towards Mo Baichuan. "Baichuan, you are the birthday boy. Here's to a happy birthday and to your everlasting happiness with sister-in-law." "Thank you." Mo Baichuan raised his glass to toast with Li Ting. Then Li Ting continued, "Let's all make sure we're drunk before we go home." Yes. Let's get drunk." The rest of them echoed in agreement. Chapter 435. Mo Baichuan's Tactic, Big Boss Proposal _3. One drink, then two. Gradually, Mo Baichuan's head was getting dizzy. Li Xianxian tried to dissuade him. "Baichuan, please stop drinking. You're becoming drunk." Li Tingji laughed. "Sister-in-law, Baichuan has a good alcohol tolerance. How could he be drunk?" "Exactly. Baichuan once drank a bottle of white wine in one gulp." Mo Baichuan was normally very disciplined and rarely drank. On the rare occasion that people had the chance to drink with him, they were not about to let him off so easily. "I'm fine, don't worry." Mo Baichuan turned to look at Li Xianxian. Frustrated, Li Xianxian sighed. As the drinks continued for 3 hours, countless empty bottles littered the ground. Not only was Mo Baichuan drunk, everyone else in the private room was too. "Xian," Li Tingji began, lifting his gaze to her before quickly correcting, "Sister-in-law, why don't you take Baichuan home first? I can handle things here." Li Xianxian nodded and reached out to support Mo Baichuan. Mo Baichuan, standing 1.85 meters tall, was completely unconscious and limp from the alcohol. Li Xianxian was unable to muster the strength to move him. Seeing this, Li Tingji assisted by holding up the other side of Mo Baichuan. "It'll help take you guys home." "Thank you, Tingji." Li Xianxian looked gratefully at him. Agonizing regret flickered across Li Tingji's face. He didn't say anything, just continued helping Mo Baichuan forward while Li Xianxian hustled to keep up. Li Tingji drove directly to the base and helped Mo Baichuan into his dormitory room. Li Xianxian took out a key from Mo Baichuan's pocket and unlocked the door. The lavish dormitory, boasting a living room and bedroom suite, hardly resembled a student's dorm. Li Tingji dumped Mo Baichuan on the bed, telling Li Xianxian, "I'm leaving now." Li Xianxian nodded, her voice soft, "Take care on your way." As he turned to go, tears streamed down Li Tingji's face. As soon as the door shut, Li Xianxian walked to the bed and sneered down at Mo Baichuan, a satisfactory smirk on her face. Then she bent over to unzip his clothes. Rip, soon, a pile of torn clothes laid on the floor. Normally, men who are severely drunk have no physical reactions, but Xianxia did not care. She had calculated precisely that it would be her ovulation period the same night she spent with Li Tingji. Xianxia turned the unconscious Mo Baichuan over and positioned him on top of her. The next morning, as soon as the sunshine seeped in through the window, Mo Baichuan opened his eyes. Something's felt off underneath the covers. As if someone were hiding there. Was he dreaming? Mo Baichuan looked down and suddenly snapped awake. What the hell was happening? Why was Xianxia in his bed? Mo Baichuan felt a terrible headache. His mind was blank, unable to remember what had happened the night before. What had happened? He was pretty confident about his self-control. How could he have lost his inhibitions after drinking? Pinching his temples to alleviate his irritation, Mo Baichuan glanced at the torn clothing strewn on the ground and immediately felt a pit in his stomach. Could it be that he had forced himself on Xianxia? Just then, a piercing scream echoed throughout the room. Ah! Xianxia, who had apparently woken up at some point, was gripping the bed covers, her face pale, her entire body trembling. Xianxia, I have no idea what happened. Mo Baichuan was at a loss, unsure of where to begin explaining. Gulping nervously, Xianxia tried to regain some calm. You, don't say anything. Let me collect my thoughts. After saying this, she wrapped herself in thin covers and walked toward the bathroom. With the blanket taken, a bright red stain was glaringly obvious on the white sheets. Almost too glaring. Was this Li Xianxian's first time? Mo Baichuan's frown deepened even further. After hurriedly dressing himself, he sat down on the sofa, lit a cigarette and began to furiously puff smoke. Did Xianxia set him up? Ordinarily, he had good tolerance. Even when drunk, he wouldn't become unruly or violent. He would only quietly sleep. How could something like this have happened? Also, why was Xianxia in his dormitory? Chinese name squinted his eyes. After a while, Xianxia finally emerged, wrapped in covers, from the bathroom. Baichuan. Xianxia initiated the conversation. Mo Baichuan looked up at Xianxia. Xianxia resumed, last night was an accident. We're both adults and am also responsible for it. Don't blame yourself or feel guilty. Don't worry, I won't hold you responsible or make any unreasonable demands. Chapter 436. Mo Baichuan's Strategy, Big Brother's Marriage Proposal _4. Upon hearing this, a hint of guilt appeared on Mo Baichuan's face. Rest assured, I am not the kind of person who shirks responsibility. Some things were done and couldn't be undone. Xianxia was an innocent young woman who had followed him. It would be unfathomable for Mo Baichuan to deny her now. Xianxia said solemnly, Baichuan, I don't want you to take responsibility just for the sake of it. Although we are boyfriend and girlfriend now, I can tell that you don't really like me. So, let's break up. Break up? Mo Baichuan was astounded. He had never expected Xianxia to bring up breaking up. If this was truly a trap set by Xianxia, would she propose breaking up? Who would ever gamble with their own reputation and dignity? For a moment, Mo Baichuan suddenly found the situation confusing. Are you sure you want to break up? Mo Baichuan turned his head to look at Xianxia. Yes, I'm sure. Xianxia nodded firmly. Let's break up. I will move out of the base as soon as possible, and that way there will be no pressure on either of us. All right. Mo Baichuan nodded. Then let's break up. He was curious if Xianxia would really move out. As Xianxia curved her lips into an imperceptible smile, a flicker of disdain flashed in her eyes. So, this was how lightly he took her in his heart. He didn't even try to keep her when faced with a breakup. Luckily, she was prepared for this. This time, she was determined to hold on to Mo Baichuan's heart tightly. Goodbye. Xianxia wrapped herself tightly in the quilt and moved towards the door. Halfway there, she turned back to look at Mo Baichuan. Don't worry, I will leave quietly without causing any disturbance. After leaving Mo Baichuan's dorm, Xianxia went to her own dorm, changed her clothes, and took her luggage to leave the base. Without any reluctance or regret. Just as Li Xianxian left, the dorm phone rang. Mo Baichuan walked over and picked it up. "Hello. Baichuan, it's me." Li Ting's voice came from the other end of the phone. Mo Baichuan cleared his throat, then asked, "Tingji, what's up?" Li Ting asked with concern, "You and sister-in-law were all right last night, right? Why do you ask?" Mo Baichuan furrowed his brows slightly. Li Ting then asked, "Baichuan, do you really have no recollection of what happened last night?" "Last night? What exactly happened?" Li Ting continued, "This is what happened. Last night you drank too much and you were holding sister-in-law's hand tightly, not letting it go. In the end, you started acting unruly. There was no other way, so sister-in-law and I brought you back to your dorm. But you kept causing a ruckus after returning to the dorm." Upon hearing this, Mo Baichuan's expression grew increasingly dark. So it really was him who forced Li Xianxian? "Hello, Baichuan, are you still listening?" Mo Baichuan finally came back to his senses. "I have some other things to do, I'll hang up first." After hanging up the phone, Mo Baichuan went to Li Xianxian's dorm, only to discover that Li Xianxian had already taken all her clothes and left. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Mo Qishan came to Jinghua village early in the morning and the villagers greeted him warmly. "Xiaomo is here." Mo Qishan graciously replied with, "Hello, uncle, hello, aunt," even handing out cigarettes to the men, which made all the elderly men and women beam with smiles. In no time, he reached the courtyard of the Ni family. Mo Qishan stood in front of the courtyard and politely knocked on the door. "Who's there?" Ni Tsuehua came out. Seeing Mo Qishan, she immediately replied brightly, "Xiaomo is here, come in." "Aunt, where's Yang Yang?" Mo Qishan looked around the courtyard. Yang Yang went to the river to do laundry. Ni Tsuehua replied, "Doing laundry at the river?" Mo Qishan frowned sympathetically. Hadn't he bought a washing machine already? Why did Ni Yang still need to go to the river to do laundry? Hand washing was so laborious. "I'll go find Yang Yang." Mo Qishan continued. Ni Tsuehua replied, "I can show you the way." Mo Qishan shook his head. "Don't worry, aunt. I know the way." Ni Tsuehua smiled and said, "Fine then, you can go." Mo Qishan turned and headed out. In no time he arrived by the river. He saw Ni Yang standing by the river with her pants rolled up, busy washing clothes. Her actions exposed a bit of her slender, fair waist against the black cloth, making it noticeably eye-catching. A few ducks were swimming around near the edge. Mo Qishan's Adam's apple bobbed visibly. He took off his shoes and quietly made his way towards Ni Yang. Chapter 437. Mo Baichuan's Strategy, Big Brother's Marriage Proposal _5. His footsteps were light, very light. Ni Yang was engrossed in washing clothes, not noticing anything else. Mo Qishan quietly came to Ni Yang's side, covered her eyes with his hand and held his breath as he asked, "Guess who I am?" Ni Yang was momentarily startled but played along. Let me guess. First, using the process of elimination, you definitely aren't that scoundrel Mo Qishan." Her long eyelashes brushed against Mo Qishan's palm, causing a slight tickling sensation. From Mo Qishan's angle, he could see straight down Ni Yang's neckline. "Don't peek when it's inappropriate." Mo Qishan quickly averted his gaze from the sight, looking at the wild ducks on the river, silently chanting a mantra to clear his mind several times. Ni Yang pinched Mo Qishan's hand. "Scoundrel, let go of me now." A patch of water immediately wet Mo Qishan's hand. He quickly came to his senses, releasing Ni Yang, somewhat surprised. "Yang Yang, how did you know it was me?" Ni Yang raised an eyebrow slightly, playfully retorting, "Because our hearts are connected." As it turned out, Mo Qishan was indeed not immune to teasing. His face instantly turned red. "Really? Really?" Ni Yang laughed. "Of course it's true. So, Brother Mo, what brings you here today?" Mo Qishan held Ni Yang tightly, burying his head in her neck, deeply inhaling the fragrance of her hair. "Because I missed you." He really missed her. He didn't know how to describe this strange feeling. "Yang Yang, do you miss me?" Mo Qishan continued to ask. Ni Yang nodded. "Really? Emo Chishan was overjoyed. Really? Yang, I really like you a lot. Emo Chishan said seriously, I feel like I can't live without you in this life, I want to be with you forever. And Yang asked, forever is a long time. Are you certain that when I'm old and wrinkled, you'll still feel the same as you do now? Perhaps it was because of too many past experiences, Yang had a hard time believing in love. She wasn't sure how long Emo Kishan's affection for her could last. Who knows what could happen in the future? Yang, I'm 10 years older than you, you'll get old before you, you'll develop wrinkles before you do. As long as you don't mind me, I will always be there to protect you. As it turns out, Emo Chishan was the one who felt insecure. He was afraid that one day Yang would think he was too old. After all, there was a 10-year gap between them. Don't worry, I won't mind you getting old. Yang tightened her hold around his waist. Really? Emo Chishan seemed to be in a dream. Yang was serious. Really? Emo Chishan continued, wife, when are we getting married? Cough, cough, cough. This scoundrel Emo Chishan is too presumptuous. She's just 18 and he's already thinking about marriage. Yang was nearly choked by her own saliva, and she pushed Emo Chishan away. Scoundrel, what are you thinking? Caught off guard, Emo Chishan plopped down into the water, sitting there. I'm sorry, brother Emo, are you okay? Yang immediately extended a hand to help Emo Chishan up. Emo Chishan refused to get up from the water, looking at Yang with a pitiful face. Wife, don't you want to marry me? Who are you planning to marry first? Have you stopped liking me? No, you misunderstand, it's not that I don't want to marry you. Yang didn't know how to explain herself. Upon hearing this, Emo Chishan brightened. Then when are we getting married? Seriously? Again with this problem. Yang kicked Emo Chishan lightly. Scoundrel, I'm only 18. Does that conflict with marriage? Emo Chishan asked innocently, a forlorn look on his face. Wife, we can't be dishonest. You just said you wouldn't mind me. I'm older than you, and you don't want to marry me now. I feel really insecure. At that moment, Yang had the strange illusion that Emo Chishan was like a homeless, pitiful little puppy. Yang softened at that, changing her tone. I'm not even of legal marrying age yet. There's a rule that states that the combined age of the couple must be at least 42 for the marriage to be legally recognized, and for girls, the legal age of marriage is 20. Emo Chishan considered this for a moment. Then we can get married in 2 years. Yang took hold of Emo Chishan's hand. Brother Emo, get up first. Emo Chishan, with a mischievous glint in his eyes, held Yang's hand. He slowly stood up, but just then he suddenly pulled her. Chapter 438, Emo Baichuan's Strategy, Big Brother's Marriage Proposal _6. Bang. Both of them fell into the water simultaneously, splashing water everywhere. Yang had not been prepared and ended up landed on Emo Chishan's body. Breathing entwined, they could clearly feel each other's heartbeat. Even Emo Chishan, the orchestrator of the whole thing, was stunned, his mind blank. Yang didn't get up in a rush. She reached out to pinch Emo Chishan's face. You dog, has your courage grown? You dare to conspire against me. I didn't, Emo Chishan stammered. Yang increased the strength in her grip. Still defending yourself. Emo Chishan controlled himself and said, Yang, could you get up first, please? Nope. Yang replied, didn't you not want to get up? Yang. Emo Chishan's pupils were as dark as ink, his voice low. Yang decided to back off, stood up and said, I will let you off this time. Phew. Emo Chishan let out a sigh of relief. If Yang hadn't gotten up, he just might have embarrassed himself. He might even have ended up scaring his wife away. Yang continued washing clothes. If you looked closely, her ears were slightly red. Emo Chishan stopped teasing her, took off his upper clothes, and dived into the river with vigor. Yang simply washed his clothes as well. The fell earlier had caused quite a bit of yellow mud to stick to Emo Chishan's white shirt. Yang's clothes were not spared either, got quite wet, but luckily, it was summer and the thin clothes dried quickly. Yang. Emo Chishan swam to the middle of the river, popped his head out, and called for Ni Yang. What is it? Ni Yang looked up. Can you guess what I caught? Mo Chishan continued. A fish. Ni Yang guessed. Wrong. Mo Chishan shook his head. River clams. Mo Chishan still shook his head. It's not a snake, is it? Ni Yang shivered at the thought. Mo Chishan's courage was indeed tremendous. He even dared to catch a snake. Incorrect. Mo Chishan shook his head again. If it's not a fish, not a river clam, and not even a snake, Ni Yang couldn't guess what else in the river Mo Chishan could have caught. Yang, you're really clueless. Ni Yang raised an eyebrow. Are you just messing with me and you didn't catch anything at all? Damn man. Mo Chishan laughed. Yang, how about we make a bet? If you guess correctly, I'll agree to something you ask. If you can't, you'll have to agree to do something for me. And I'll even give you a hint. Ni Yang nodded slightly. Okay, go ahead. Mo Chishan continued. The thing I caught is alive. You've seen it before and you might have even eaten it. River shrimp. Wrong. Mo Chishan chuckled. Yang, you lost. I admit defeat, Ni Yang added. Can you tell me what you caught now? Mo Chishan raised his right hand. It's this. Suddenly, the sound of quack 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 echoed in the air. A wild duck. Ni Yang would never have guessed that Mo Chishan would catch a wild duck. Wild ducks differ from domestic ducks. Not only are they much smaller in size, but they are also very agile and can fly high like birds. Under normal circumstances, it would be impossible to catch a wild duck bare-handed. Even professional hunters need to use guns. Mo Chishan quickly swam over to Ni Yang and handed the wild duck to her, shamelessly asking, How awesome is your man? Ni Yang slapped his face. Mr. Mo, can you have some shame, please? Mo Chishan continued, Yang, you lost, you have to agree to do something for me. Go ahead. Kiss me. Mo Chishan, lying on a rock in the river, said this very seriously. Ni Yang's cheeks turned slightly red. How was she supposed to respond to that? Yang, don't go back on your word. Ni Yang mustered up her courage. Close your eyes first. Mo Chishan obediently closed his eyes. Ni Yang lowered her eyes slightly, quickly pecked him on the cheek, fleeting like a dragonfly touching the water. Even though it was only a moment, Ni Yang's heart was thumping. Mo Chishan was in a similar state, calm on the surface, but an absolute mess inside. Wife, you are too perfunctory. After a while, Mo Chishan finally opened his eyes. He was incredibly grateful to be in the water right now. Ni Yang knocked his head with a look of disgust on her face. Your face stinks. Stop acting smart after scoring points. It's okay as long as you smell nice, wife. Mo Chishan handed the wild duck to Ni Yang. Wife, I will go for another swim. When Ni Yang looked at Mo Chishan again, he was no longer visible on the water surface. A good while later, he reappeared from the opposite bank of the river. Ni Yang untied her red hairband and tied the wings and feet of the wild duck with it, then put it in the bucket. After finishing washing the clothes, Ni Yang took out the clothes that Mo Baichuan had worn and hung them on a tree by the riverbank to dry while she sat underneath the tree seeking shade and watched Mo Chishan swimming in the river. Yang, do you want to swim around too? Called Mo Chishan from the river. No thanks. Ni Yang gave him a blank look. In broad daylight, if she did get into the water, she could likely become the guest of honor in the village news the next day. Yang, I've caught something again. Mo Chishan's voice echoed, full of excitement. Is it a fish? Yang, you are so smart. Mo Chishan raised a grass carp that weighs over 3 pounds. Ni Yang just sat by the river and watched him, smiles flickering in her eyes. About half an hour later, Mo Chishan came up from the water. Right at that time, the clothes also dried. Mo Chishan put them on, took the bucket with the clothes from Ni Yang. Ni Yang smiled. I can carry it. Mo Chishan said, How could I allow you to do this kind of work while I, as your boyfriend, am around? Boyfriends are meant to do hard work. What else is the use of having a boyfriend? Ni Yang patted his head. Good understanding, young man. Mo Chishan smiled. All credit to your coaching. Nobody else got such a privilege. Ni Yang couldn't help but laugh. As they walked and talked, their handsome and beautiful scene made passing pedestrians compliment them heavily. Such a perfect match of talent and beauty. In no time, they arrived at the Ni family's house. It was already after 10 a.m., nearing 11 a.m. Ni Yang suggested, "Brother Mo, stay for lunch. I'll clean up the duck and grill the fish." Mo Chishan nodded, "Yes, I'll help you." He seemed to have forgotten about the important meeting waiting for him at noon. Chapter 439, Big Brother, I am a person who loves to idle away his time. Help me one more time _1. Mo Chishan followed Ni Yang into the kitchen. Ni Tsuehua was originally busy in the kitchen. Seeing Mo Chishan and Ni Yang arrive, she thought it would be best not to disturb the young couple. So, she left under the pretense of needing to look after the children. Yang, are we killing the duck too? Ni Yang nodded. I'll do it. Mo Chishan rolled up his sleeves and volunteered. Can you handle it? Ni Yang expressed doubt. A man is most bothered by a woman questioning his ability. I can handle it just fine. Mo Chishan took the wild duck from Ni Yang's hand. Ni Yang gave him a small smile and handed him the kitchen knife. Here you go. And so, the usually commanding boss, who would direct operations from his office, was now holding a knife in one hand and a wild duck in the other, unsure of how to proceed. Should he cut the duck's head off? Or perhaps cut it open directly? Would cutting off the head be enough? Mo Chishan held the knife against the duck's neck, preparing to cut its head off when he suddenly stopped. No way, no way. What if the duck's blood splashed onto him? Mo Chishan looked at the duck, then at the kitchen knife, struggling with what to do next. Let me do it. Ni Yang reached for the duck in Mo Chishan's hand. Xiaoma, fetch a bowl from the kitchen and fill it with some salt water. Okay. Mo Chishan touched his nose awkwardly. Yang, how much water and salt should I put in the bowl? Half a small bowl of water and half a small spoon of salt. Ni Yang answered. Okay, I'll be right back. Mo Chishan trotted into the kitchen. Although he couldn't handle killing the duck, simple tasks like this were no problem for Mo Chishan. He quickly came back with the salt water. Yang here. You can leave it on the floor. Ni Yang then said, Xiaoma, can you hold the duck's feet and wings? Okay. Mo Chishan obediently did as he was told. Ni Yang held the duck's head. The sharp knife instantly aimed at the duck's neck. The bright red blood dripped into the bowl of salt water. She acted swiftly, without hesitation. This left Mo Chishan shocked. His wife was incredibly skilled. Even at killing ducks, she made it look cool. This was the second time Ni Yang had impressed Mo Chishan, the first time being when she effortlessly opened a bottle cap. After killing the duck, Ni Yang brought 2 bottles of hot water, then looked at Mo Chishan. Xiaoma, can you pluck the feathers? Yes. If he couldn't handle this, he would surely lose favor with his wife. Just plucking feathers, right? It's as easy as pie. Mo Chishan put the duck into a wooden basin, poured boiling water over it, and began to pluck the feathers. As it turned out, plucking feathers was indeed much simpler than killing the duck. In a short while, Mo Chishan had finished prepping the duck. Yang, the duck is ready. Ni Yang was busy with the grass carp and without raising her head said, Thanks for your hard work, Xiaoma. It's no trouble. Mo Chishan's face turned slightly red and he volunteered to stoke the fire beneath the stove. Ni Yang was cooking by the stove. The two of them worked well together, and soon the small kitchen was filled with the fragrance of food. For lunch, there was spicy and fresh grilled fish and a delectably soft and rich duck soup. Paired with a sour and spicy cucumber salad, the taste was beyond delicious. Mo Chishan ate 2 big bowls of rice in one breath, feeling like it still wasn't enough. After the meal, Mo Chishan volunteered to wash the dishes. Ni Tsuehua laughed. Xiaoma is such a good boy. Yang, you must cherish him. Don't bully him. Ni Tsuehua, having grown up in a different era, had never seen a man do so much for a woman before. In her generation, it was taken for granted that women should serve men. But Mo Chishan had completely overturned her old-fashioned viewpoints. Mo Chishan showed her equality and respect. He was a man deserving of Ni Yang's love. Ni Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Mom, do you think I would bully anyone? And Etsuehua knew her daughter was thoughtful and laughed. Young, as long as you know. Xiaomo is busy in the kitchen now, you should go check on him. And Yang nodded and headed toward the kitchen. Yang, when are we moving to the new house next door? Chishan asked while putting the dishes away in the cabinet. And Yang replied, we're probably moving next month. We haven't decided on a specific moving date. We'll move once the paint smell has dissipated. It's convenient living here now, so there's no hurry. Chapter 440, Boss, I am a leisurely idler. Help me one more time _2. The newly renovated house had excessive formaldehyde levels, which wouldn't be good for little Ni Yun's health if we moved in too early. Chishan continued, remember to inform me when you move. Okay. Ni Yang walked over to Chishan, Brother don't move. What's wrong? Chishan couldn't control himself as Ni Yang suddenly came close. Don't move. Ni Yang stood on her tiptoes and a fragrance that was like neither bamboo nor orchid wafted over. What was Ni Yang trying to do? What was she planning by standing on her tiptoes? Was she going to kiss him? If she wanted to kiss him, she didn't need to tiptoe. He could squat down. How embarrassing this was. Chishan's heartbeat suddenly quickened. Thump, 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 as if it was about to jump out of his chest. Pop! A faint sound was heard in the air. Chishan was stupefied for a moment. He thought Ni Yang was going to kiss him, but instead, she just slapped him lightly on the forehead. Brother look what I got. Ni Yang showed her palm to Chishan. Chishan lowered his gaze slightly, only to see a mosquito with a trace of blood in Ni Yang's palm. So she was just killing a mosquito. Although Chishan was a bit disappointed, he still flattered her. Yang, you're so awesome. Downtown business building. Morris and Marcus were anxiously pacing around the building. The duo kept checking their watches, wondering, why hasn't the boss arrived yet? The meeting was supposed to be at 12 o'clock, and now it's after 1 o'clock, but there's still no sign of Chishan. Chishan has always been disciplined, never late to meetings large or small. They didn't know what was going on this time. Had something happened? Morris asked Marcus, do you know where the boss went? Marcus shrugged, how would I know? The boss asked me to clear all his schedules for this morning, but he didn't tell me where he was going. Morris, with a worried look, said, did something happen to him? In this era of underdeveloped communications, it's so inconvenient. If anything happens, we don't have any means of communication and we can only worry. Marcus said, TSK. Shut your gloom-mongering mouth. How could anything happen to the boss? I think he must have gone to see Miss Ni. Morris scratched his head. Impossible, right? It's almost the first birthday of Miss Ni's sister. If the boss wants to see Miss Ni, he wouldn't be so urgent. Who knows? Marcus added, there's an old Chinese poem that goes, a day without seeing you is like a decade in torment. I think the boss is really fallen this time. Hey Race, what we do, I'll wait here for the boss. You go find Wu Daming to visit Miss Ni's house and check whether the boss is there. Morris nodded, okay, I'll go now. When Wu Daming arrived, Chishan and Ni Yang were feeding birds in the yard. They were a beautiful and perfect couple, whispering to each other. The scene was endearing and pleasant to the eye. Brother 6. Wu Daming ran in, his face covered in sweat. What's up? Chishan turned back with a smile. Although he was smiling, Wu Daming felt a chill down his spine. This brother 6 was somewhat terrifying. With a thick skin, Wu Daming reminded him, Brother 6, Xiaomo and Xiaoma are searching for you everywhere. Only then did Chishan remember about his meeting. He glanced at his wristwatch and saw it was already 2 o'clock. Well, it's already past 12, might as well spend some more time with my wife. Ni Yang said, Brother if you have something to do, you should go back with Wu Daming first. Don't delay your work. No problem. Chishan replied without a care, what kind of official business could a man of leisure like me have? Wu Daming, if he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't believe that the man before him was Chishan. Indeed, love can drive people crazy. Are you really sure it's okay? Enai Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. It's really okay, continued Emo Chishan. If you don't believe me, you can ask Wu Daming. So, in the corner that Enai Yang couldn't see, Wu Daming received another deadly glare. Wanting to live, he laughed and said, It's okay, Xiaomo and Xiaoma are just two idle youths. Apart from wanting to drink with Brother Six, what else could be so important? Sorry, Morris and Marcus, you're being blamed for being idle and unproductive by me. In his heart, Wu Daming apologized silently to the outstanding young men, Morris and Marcus. Enai Yang smiled and said, That's good then. Oh, Wu Daming, we're planning to eat roast rabbit tonight. Why don't you stay and join us? Chapter 441. Big Boss. I am a person who enjoys idling around. Help me one more time _through. Thanks, sister-in-law and I, but I won't be joining for dinner, Wu Daming declined politely. The roast rabbit was delicious, but he didn't want to be a third wheel. Just join us, you don't have anything better to do anyways. The more, the merrier, right? Enai Yang held Emo Kishin's hand tighter, right, brother Emo? Wu Daming had helped her out a lot, and Enai Yang sincerely wanted to show her gratitude. Enai Yang was far from naive. She knew Wu Daming would listen to Emo Chishan, and if Emo Chishan nodded in approval, Wu Daming would certainly stay. Emo Chishan nodded his head. Your sister-in-law is right. Wu Daming was about to say something else when Emo Chishan looked at him, his tone bland. Are you too busy? Wu Daming immediately changed his tune. No, not busy at all. Then, sorry for intruding, sister-in-law. Enai Yang chuckled. You're not an outsider. Emo, why don't you go keep Daming company inside, while I catch the rabbit? The rabbit meat needed to be marinated in advance so it would be flavorful during the barbecue. Wu Daming said, I want to walk around the village. Don't bother with me, go about your business. That's fine too. Emo Chishan nodded, just make sure to be back in time for dinner. His message was to stay away until it was dark. Wu Daming got the hint. Don't worry, brother and I'll be back soon. After saying this, he turned and left. Enai Yang and Emo Chishan went to catch the rabbit. There were 7 rabbits in total. They had slaughtered 2 when Li Yanran came last time, so they were now down to 5. Emo Chishan grabbed one of the fattest rabbits. Yang, what do you think about this one? No, Enai Yang shook her head. This one is about to become a mom. Hearing this, Emo Chishan carefully put the rabbit mother down and picked up another one. How about this one? This one is fine. Enai Yang nodded, then added, There will be lots of people tonight, brother Emo, you should catch one more. All right. Enai Yang was not only adept at slaughtering ducks but was also an expert at killing rabbits. In no time, 2 rabbits were evenly coated with various marinades. Apart from rabbit meat, Enai Yang had also prepared enoki mushrooms, baby cabbages, chili, lamb, eggplant, and vermicelli. At this time, barbecues were not yet as popular as they would become in later years, and skewers were not available in the countryside. So, Enai Yang and Emo Chishan went to the bamboo grove to cut some bamboo. Emo Chishan was very skilled with his hands. Enai Yang just described the shape of the skewers, and as he cut the bamboo, he also whittled the skewers for Enai Yang. They were of uniform size, just like what you could buy on the street. Enai Yang marveled, Brother Emo, you're so skillful. Just so. The champion of the China's swordsmanship competition, Missouri Chishan modestly downplayed his prowess. After making the skewers, Emo Chishan sat in the yard and skewered the food while Enai Yang made the charcoal. Time passed second by second. In a blink of an eye, it was evening. By the time Enai Chingui and Wu Daming returned, Enai Yang had already prepared everything. The barbecue grill was long and people could sit on both sides, allowing everyone to grill and eat at the same time. Although it was summer, the mountain breeze made everything pleasantly cool. Oh, little Emo is here too. No wonder it's so lively today. Enai Chingui greeted Emo Chishan enthusiastically. Aunt Enai. Emo Chishan stood up politely. Enai Chingui laughed. Little Emo, you don't need to be so formal with me. We're all family here, please sit. Finishing her sentence, she turned to Enai Yang. Yang, what are we having tonight? Looking around, she didn't see any vegetables. Surely they weren't planning to feed them raw food? Anai Yang replied, Aunt and I, we're having a barbecue tonight. We'll be grilling and eating. Oh. Anai Chingray nodded, doubting in her heart whether grilling these seemingly dried-out potatoes and enoki mushrooms would actually taste good. As Anai Yang grilled the vegetables, brushing them with oil and sprinkling chili powder and cumin powder, the sizzling of oil soon filled the air. It smelled so good. It made everyone salivate. Shortly after, Anai Yang finished grilling a large batch of vegetables and served them to everyone. Delicious. Sister-in-law and I, you're incredible. Wu Daming wolfed down his food, as if he would even swallow his tongue if he could. Anai Chingray quietly retracted her previous doubts. Anai Yang had also grilled a corn on the cob especially for little Anai Yun, who was nestled in Anai Kuihua's arms, chewing blissfully on the corn. Despite being just shy of 1 year old, his teeth were already quite formidable. Chapter 442, Big Boss. I am a person who loves to idle away his time. Help me one more time _4. Seeing everyone eating so contentedly made Anai Yang very happy as well. She picked up the marinated bunny and began to roast its meat. Yang, you should have a bite too. Mo Chishan offered a strip of roasted potato slices to Anai Yang's lips. Thank you. She opened her mouth and took a bite. Is it good? Mo Chishan asked. It's delicious. Anai Yang nodded her head. Well then, let me have a taste. Mo Chishan opened his mouth and ate the remaining half slice of potato. Anai Yang's face turned inexplicably red. She quickly lowered her gaze to others. Seeing that all eyes were not on them, she let out a sigh of relief and freed her hand to pinch Mo Chishan's waist. The sky above was illuminated with bright stars, and there was a lively atmosphere of joy in the small farmhouse below. Since that night, Mo Baichuan hadn't seen Li Xianxian for a week. At first, he thought Li Xianxian, like Anai Yang, was playing hard to get with him. But now it seemed like she was truly intent on breaking up with him, otherwise she wouldn't have disappeared for a week. Thinking about this, Mo Baichuan felt a pang of guilt. After all, it was he who had taken Li Xianxian's innocence. In 1980s China, relationships between men and women were not that open, and women viewed their chastity as incredibly important. Tingji, what exactly happened that night? Mo Baichuan went to ask Li Ting, because Li Ting was the only one who knew what had transpired apart from Li Xianxian. Which night? Li Ting looked at Mo Baichuan, puzzled. It seemed like he had already forgotten about the birthday party. Mo Baichuan replied, the night of my birthday. Mentioning that night, a flash of pain crossed briefly beneath Li Ting's eyes. What about the night of your birthday? Everyone had a great time. Baichuan, what exactly do you want to ask? Mo Baichuan succinctly said, I just want to know why Li Xianxian was in my room when I woke up the next morning. Li Ting laughed and said, because you were holding onto her hand all night and didn't let her go. Really? Mo Baichuan narrowed his eyes. Li Ting said frustratedly, do I seem so idle that I would lie to you? Li Xianxian and Li Ting had no actual relationship, so there was no need for him to lie for her. Li Ting continued, Baichuan, be honest with me, did you sleep with her that night? Instead of answering directly, Mo Baichuan said, I broke up with her. Broke up? Li Ting was surprised. Why? Baichuan, that's not right. Xianxian is a girl. Things have happened, and you should take responsibility. Mo Baichuan replied very calmly, she was the one who wanted to break up first. Li Ting advised, Baichuan, Xianxian is an exceptional girl. I really hope you do not miss out on her and step up to take on the responsibility of a man. Li Ting's expression was calm, but his heart was pounding. Had Li Xianxian broken up with Mo Baichuan because of him? Mo Baichuan lit a cigarette. Nowadays we advocate for freedom in love. If she doesn't want to, I can't force her. Li Ting sighed and a flicker of excitement appeared in his eyes. After leaving Mo Baichuan, Li Ting could hardly wait to find Li Xianxian. Xianxian, did you break up with Baichuan? Li Ting looked at Li Xianxian. Yes. Li Xianxian nodded. Xianxian, did you break up with him because of me? Li Ting asked excitedly. Li Xianxian bit her lip and then said, Tingji, I admit I did have a little interest in you, but I like Baichuan more. A heart can only love one person, so, I'm sorry, Tingji. I want to marry Baichuan, could you please help me again? When she said the last sentence, Li Xianxian held Li Ting's hand and looked deeply into his eyes. Li Ting looked at Li Xianxian, his eyes brimming with affection. He couldn't refuse Li Xianxian this way. As long as he knew she was even a little fond of him, he would be satisfied. In that moment he was ready to go through hell and high water for her. All right. Li Ting nodded. Li Xianxian said gratefully, Tingji, thank you. I owe you in this life. In the next one, I will definitely marry you. Really? Li Ting looked up, surprised. He never expected Li Xianxian to be so deep and sincere. He had indeed chosen the right person to love. Chapter 443, Boss. I am a person who loves to idle away his time. Help me one more time _5. For real? Li Xianxian stretched out her hand protectively around Li Tingji, whispering her plan into his ear. Li Tingzi's body stiffened, his face unreadable. After a long moment he said, Don't worry, Xianxian. I will make sure you get to marry Mo Baichuan as you wish. News of Mo Baichuan's breakup with Li Xianxian quickly spread through their social circles. The person who was most delighted at hearing this news was none other than Zheng Xianjing. What made Li Xianxian believe she was fit to be with Mo Baichuan? What has you in such high spirits? Zheng Lingling came in from outside. Mom, I have great news. Mo Baichuan has broken up with Li Xianxian. Before Zheng Lingling, Zheng Xianjing never hid her ambitions, because they were two peas in a pod. So what if they broke up? Surely there's nothing worth celebrate about that. Even without Mo Baichuan, there is still Song Beiqing. His family background is no worse than Mo Baichuan's. Moreover, I heard that Song family is about to get another promotion. By then, their power will be even greater. Zheng Lingling paused, then continued, So Xianjing, I advise you to focus your energy on Song Beiqing. He's the only heir of the Song family. Zheng Xianjing grinned, Mom, you're just seeing the surface. To me, 100 Song Beiqing would not compare to one Mo Baichuan. What's so great about the Song family's power? Could they be greater than Mr. Mog? Zheng Xianjing remained clear-headed. Zheng Lingling poked Zheng Xianjing's head in exasperation. What is with you? First Mo Qishan, now Mo Baichuan. Can't you just leave Mo family alone? Without pausing, Zheng Lingling continued, Though Mo Baichuan is indeed not bad, he is slightly inferior to his cousin, Song Beiqing. Zheng Xianjing laughed. Falling for a piece of waste in the past was a mistake of mine, but rest assured, I have a keen eye for the truth this time, and I will not make the same mistake again. Zheng Lingling, not being a fool herself, continued, Xianjing, are you hiding something from me? Zheng Xianjing looked as if she wanted to say something but held back. Mom, if I tell you, you can't tell anyone else. Zheng Lingling rolled her eyes. Don't tell me you don't trust your own mother. Zheng Xianjing revealed her suspicions to Zheng Lingling. Zheng Lingling took a while to recover from the shock. Mr. Mog. It's Mr. Mog. She had not seen it coming, that Mr. Mog, so mysterious and unpredictable, was actually Mo Baichuan, whom she had watched grow up. Xianjing, are you certain you're not mistaken? Zheng Lingling questioned. Zheng Xianjing replied, I am sure. I initially thought Mr. Mog was the worthless Mo Qishan, that's why she left the rest unsaid. Zheng Lingling snorted, that useless person Mo Qishan isn't even worthy to shine Mr. Mog's shoes. Exactly, Zheng Xianjing sighed regretfully. I was so foolish to waste so much time on such a loser. I almost overlooked the real Mr. Mog. I was lucky to uncover the truth in time. Every time she thought about this, Zheng Xianjing felt extremely fortunate. Zheng Lingling continued, Baichuan has certainly played his cards close to his chest. Who can disagree? Zheng Xianjing nodded. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, who would have believed that he is Mr. Mog? Zheng Lingling frowned slightly, looking worried. Xianjing, I've heard rumors that Zhao Jingrong of the Zhao family has declared that she won't marry anyone but Mr. Mog. You will need to keep an eye on her so she doesn't steal Baichuan away. The influence of the Zhao family in Beijing far exceeds that of the Mo family and the Zheng family. Otherwise, Zhao Jingrong wouldn't be so bold to ditch Mo Qixin at will. Moreover, Zhao Jingrong not only boasts a prestigious family background but is also pretty and well-educated overseas. These exceptional attributes make her a force to be reckoned with. Zheng Xianjing laughed. Mom, you can rest easy. Zhao Jingrong still doesn't know that Mo Baichuan is Mr. Mog. And even if she did, would Mo Baichuan marry someone who almost became his aunt through marriage with Mo Qixin? Even if Zhao Jingrong loses her dignity, the Mo family would still want to keep their face. Zheng Xianjing was not worried about Zhao Jingrong, as she had no upper hand at all in front of Mo Baichuan. Chapter 444. Big Brother. I am a person who loves to idle away his time. Help me one more time _6. Mr. Mog isn't someone she can decide to marry just because she said so. On the contrary, Zheng Xianjing was a bit worried about Li Xianxian. After all, she had once been in a relationship with Mo Baichuan. Zheng Xianjing shared her concerns with Zheng Lingling. Zheng Lingling laughed and said, Xianjing, don't worry at all. I heard from your grandmother Mo before that they were not very satisfied with Li Xianxian, saying she's not good enough. Besides, they've already broken up. What else do you have to worry about? Hearing Zheng Lingling's words, Zheng Xianjing felt much less worried. Zheng Lingling continued, Xianjing, your most important task now is to win over Baichuan's heart, make him notice you, be fond of you, and want to marry you. To be Mrs. Mog, you can't just stay at home all day. Zheng Xianjing laughed. Mom, I understand what you mean. Zheng Lingling said, since you understand, why not get dressed up and go find Baichuan? As the saying goes, familiarity breeds affection. Feelings between a man and a woman are gradually built over time. Zheng Xianjing nodded in agreement. Ni Yang has been settled in the restaurant for a week now, and hasn't started the renovation because they were waiting for an auspicious time. Today is a good day. Early in the morning, Wang Tiniu brought a group of people to the front of the restaurant. In addition to local labor, Wang Tiniu also called many people from neighboring villages. Consequently, Ni Yang not only became the lucky star of Jinghua village, but also that of neighboring villages, and many people dreamt of moving to Jinghua village. It's important to know that Jinghua village's economy now far outstrips a few neighboring villages, and Ni Yang's fame as a lucky star is spreading further and further. Before starting the renovation, Ni Yang set off a string of firecrackers to bring good fortune. Wang Tiniu, with the blueprint in hand, was telling everyone where to start the renovation. The blueprint was designed by Ni Yang herself, based primarily on traditional Chinese elements. In today's Beijing, there are Japanese restaurants and Western restaurants, but there is no restaurant that promotes the beauty of traditional Chinese culture. Although the decor of Japanese restaurants is quite classical, it belongs to Japan's own classical style, which has nothing to do with China. Ni Yang now not only wants to expand her skincare business abroad, but also to export traditional Chinese culture through the restaurant industry, so that people all over the world can feel the charm of traditional Chinese culture. Yang, is this a column? Wang Tiniu asked, pointing at a black dot on the blueprint. That spot on the design seemed to be blurred by a water droplet. However, as the designer, Ni Yang knew clearly every detail on the blueprint. Uncle Tiniu, this is a screen. It was fortunate that Wang Tiniu was attentive, otherwise, if he had built a column, the consequences would be unthinkable. Wang Tiniu nodded. Oh, I see. Miss Ni, are you starting the renovation today? A gentle male voice came from outside the door. Ni Yang turned around and saw that it was Qin Jitsong, the former owner of the restaurant. Mr. Qin. Ni Yang nodded slightly. Qin Jitsong said, I was just passing by and saw the door open, so I came in for a look. This was where he started his first business and also the last, so his sentimental attachment was understandable. Ni Yang smiled faintly. While this place hasn't changed much, would you like to take a photo to reminisce about it, Mr. Qin? Qin Zikang's eyes lit up. That's a great idea. He then said, Miss N, will you wait for me? I'll go get my camera. Sure. Ni Yang nodded slightly. Shortly after, Qin Jitsong came back with a camera. In this era, a camera is a rare commodity. It costs more than 5,000 yuan to buy one. Ordinary farmers can't even afford to glance at it, let alone buy one, so everyone surrounded to see it out of curiosity. This is a camera? This small thing can really capture images of people? This camera looks different from the ones I've seen in photo studios. Chen Jizong kindly explained the principles of the camera to everyone, finally suggesting, how about I take a group photo for everyone? Great, great. Everyone was thrilled. It cost 1 yuan for a photo in a photography studio. Ordinary families couldn't afford to do so. Chen Jizong held the camera and asked, Miss and I, would you like to take a group photo with everyone? Upon hearing this, everyone urged, Yang, come and take a photo. It's rare for us to have a group photo together. Yang wasn't originally interested in taking photos, but seeing everyone's enthusiasm, she walked over. Standing in the crowd, she felt an obvious sense of standing out from the crowd. Chen Jizong looked at her through the lens, his heart involuntarily quickened. He had never seen a girl who looked so good under the lens. Some girls, though beautiful, do not photograph well. But Yang was different. She was not only beautiful in real life, but also very photogenic. Click! Chen Jizong reluctantly pressed the shutter, because only when taking photos could he daringly gaze at Yang. After the photo was taken, everyone began to disperse. Chen Jizong looked at Yang and tentatively asked, Miss I, would you mind if I took a picture with you? Yang smiled lightly, I'm sorry, I do mind. I'm afraid my boyfriend might misunderstand. Yang wasn't the type to remain ambiguous. A photo of a man and a woman together would easily lead to misunderstandings. Has a boyfriend already? Chen Zikang's expression dimmed somewhat. God knows which man had such good fortune to be Yang's boyfriend. Chen Jizong laughed. It's okay, your concern is very reasonable. Could I trouble Miss I to take a few pictures of me? I can do that. Yang took the camera and took several photos of Chen Jizong. I'm not very good at taking photos, I hope you won't mind, Mr. Chen. Chen Jizong responded, How could I? I should be thanking Miss I. You're welcome. After exchanging some pleasantries, Chen Jizong proposed to leave. Yang didn't stay long at the restaurant either, but went to the detective agency instead. Now, Xiaozhou regarded Yang as her best friend. Because Yang was generous, reasonable, knowledgeable, and beautiful, she was a person worth getting to know. Yang. As soon as Yang entered the detective agency, Xiaozhou came to greet her. Yang followed Xiaozhou to the VIP room inside. Xiaozhou, do you have any recent news about Xianxia? Yang is a person who thinks ahead. She would not forget the ticking time bomb Xianxia just because she was comfortable for a moment. Chapter 445. She is the person I'm looking for. _1. Xiaozhou had been keeping a close eye on Xianxia. He poured a cup of tea for Yang, then said, She hasn't made any big moves. Just that she recently broke up with Mo Baichuan. Regarding Xianxia, this seemed to be the only significant recent event. Broke up? Yang raised an eyebrow slightly. Xiaozhou nodded, and it was Xianxia who initiated the breakup. This move was somewhat confusing. Xianxia had gone to great lengths to get close to the Mo family, finally becoming Mo Baichuan's girlfriend. Would she so casually break up? Unless there was a bigger plot behind it. Yang narrowed her eyes slightly, then asked, Are there any other news aside from these? Xiaozhou paused to think, then said, Additionally, I noticed recently that Xianxia and Li Ting have been meeting each other quite frequently. Li Ting. Yang had contact with Li Ting before, so she knew that he had a crush on Xianxia. Even though the Li family was wealthy, it couldn't compare to the Mo family. Yang didn't think that Xianxia would give up on Mo Baichuan for Li Ting. It was now a critical time for Li Xianxian's breakup with Mo Baichuan. Why would she be meeting with Li Ting so frequently? Was she planning to use Li Ting to achieve her goal? Given Li Xianxian's character, it wasn't impossible. Yang had her answer in mind, then she said, Xiaozhou, could you please keep a close eye on Li Xianxian's movements these few days for me? If there's anything unusual, let me know immediately. All right. Xiaozhou nodded. Yang, don't worry about me. Yang took out 800 yuan from her bag and gave it to Xiaozhou. Then I'll have to trouble you. Xiaozhou refused. Yang, we're friends, mentioning money feels too crude. Yang laughed. Even blood brothers keep clear accounts. If you don't accept it, I would feel bad asking for your help next time. Building connections with a detective wasn't easy. Yang never wanted to take advantage of anyone. Hearing this, Xiaozhou had no choice but to take it. After leaving the detective agency, Yang rode her bike to the noodle restaurant. Just after crossing an intersection, she saw a group of people huddled at the roadside, whispering about something. The poor old lady. Did she come out alone? Does anyone recognize this old lady? Let's contact her family quickly. Is there a doctor among us? The 80s were a relatively pure era. No one was trying to scam anyone yet. Everyone was genuinely concerned when they saw an old lady faint. On a quick glance, Yang saw a familiar face. Was that Mrs. Shangguan? Yang quickly stopped her bicycle and walked into the crowd. I'm a doctor of traditional Chinese medicine, excuse me. Upon hearing the arrival of a doctor, the crowd immediately gave way to Yang. Mrs. Shangguan's face was pale, her lips dark. Yang preliminary diagnosed her fainting was due to a sudden heart attack. Yang didn't have any herbs on hand, so she could only take out her acupuncture pouch meant for self-defense. She inserted a few needles into various acupoints on Mrs. Shangguan. As she knelt on the ground, seriously and earnestly performing the acupuncture, the surrounding crowd gasped in awe. Performing acupuncture. People had seen it on television, but never in real life. Watching this in person was far more shocking than seeing it on a TV screen. However, Yang was still too young. In front of the crowd, she lacked credibility. In everyone's minds, traditional Chinese doctors were usually white-haired, bearded old men. The girl in front of them was just a child. Was she just fooling around? The more the crowd thought about it, the more they doubted Yang. Whispers started circulating. A middle-aged man stepped forward. Young lady, you can't just insert needles randomly. If anything happens to the old lady, who will be responsible? Exactly. Young lady, did you graduate from a medical university? Do you have a practicing certificate? The crowd chimed in, concerned for Mrs. Shangguan. As Yang continued the acupuncture, she said, everyone, rest assured, my family has practiced traditional Chinese medicine for generations. Acupuncture is simply a basic skill. There won't be any mistakes. Young lady, are you sure this will work? Young lady, if anything happens to the old lady, you won't be able to leave. Yang smiled faintly. With so many of us present, even if I wanted to, where could I run off to? Chapter 446. She is the person I'm looking for. _2. Everyone saw that Yang indeed had a point. They didn't try to stop her, but they warned, young lady, we need to be clear up front. If there are any unforeseen incidents, don't blame us for not warning you. Yang responded, everyone, rest assured, I take responsibility for my actions. Upon hearing her words, the crowd didn't say much, but kept their eyes fixed on Yang. They wanted to see if she really was as good as she claimed to be. Yang calmly continued her acupuncture. The crowd's attention and questioning didn't affect her at all. She remained composed, poised, and casually refined. Stop the car. A foreign luxury car abruptly stopped at the roadside. In the back seat, a handsome golden-haired, green-eyed foreign man, watching Yang tend to her patient, his eyes full of hope, exclaimed, "Is this traditional Chinese medicine? It's truly amazing." He turned to the beautiful young Chinese woman beside him. "Miss G, I believe she's the one I've been looking for." Miss G, a strikingly pretty woman, glanced out of the window, her eyes flickering with disgust. Speaking perfect French, she warned, "Mr. Abner, there are numerous talented people in China, as well as quite a few charlatans. You're a stranger here, so you must be careful not to be deceived. The atmosphere here has really deteriorated." She had originally planned to introduce Abner to Chinese culture, but never thought that on the first day, he'd witness such decay. How embarrassing. Miss G frowned deeply. Abner turned to her, incredulous. You're saying she's a fraud? Miss G nodded. Chinese medicine works slowly and is only suitable for health maintenance rather than treating illnesses. Western medicine, as we know, accurately targets symptoms and gives quick results. It is so much faster. That's why the Qing dynasty fell so quickly, because of people like this, perpetuating outdated traditions and deceiving others with their smooth talk. By the end, Miss J's voice was full of anger. Western medicine is universal and has benefited countless people, yet some remain stubbornly resistant, still asserting the efficacy of Chinese medicine. If Chinese medicine were truly effective, the Qing dynasty would not have fallen so quickly. Miss G continued, Mr. Abner, don't worry, we live in a time where medical technology is incredibly advanced. There will certainly be a doctor who can cure your mother. If even Western medicine couldn't cure an illness, what chance would Chinese medicine have? Wasn't this a joke? Abner frowned, looking at the beautiful figure in the crowd. How can such a beautiful girl be a fraud? And she's helping someone, which is commendable. Since they were taking a leisurely drive to enjoy the scenery of Beijing, Abner had seen everything unfold before him. When the old woman first collapsed, the crowd that gathered around her had not one doctor. Only Ni Yang stepped forward. In his view, it was pure altruism. How could Ni Yang be a fraud? Miss G turned to look at Ni Yang. The young lady appeared about 17 or 18 years old, with delicate features and a complexion as white as snow. Calling her a national beauty would not be an overstatement. What a shame! Eager to achieve fame and prestige, she's completely unaware that the unconscious old woman is on the brink of death. She is as despicable as they come, risking a human life just for recognition. Such deplorable behavior. Disgust was evident in Miss J's eyes. Mr. Abner, as a fellow Chinese, I wouldn't slander my own people. In fact, I wish even more than you do that she's not a fraud. Everyone wants people from their country to be strong. Miss G sighed deeply, full of frustration, but my recent return here has been complete disappointment. If she could indeed perform medical miracles, that old woman would have awoken by now. But look at her, she's pale with blue lips, clearly beyond saving. The Chinese aren't just disappointing, they're also a disgrace. This reminded her of the sign in the Bund Park during the Republic of China era, saying, no dogs or Chinese allowed. If the Chinese people continue this decline, without aspiration for progress, they are doomed to repeat their past and return to an era of colonization. After this trip, she needs to hurry up and complete her immigration procedures to become a true citizen of F country. China has let her down too much. If it weren't for that person being in China too, she would never return. Chapter 447. She is the person I'm looking for. _3. Although Miss G expressed complete disdain for traditional Chinese medicine, Abner was not ready to give up. He had been to many countries, and China was his only hope. His mother's illness could not be delayed any longer. Miss G, I think you are biased towards ancient Chinese medical practices. The treatment isn't over yet, and neither of us has the right to judge whether she is a fraud or not. Seeing Abner still stubborn and persistent, Miss G continued, Mr. Abner, I understand that in your desperation to cure your mother, you would try anything. Let's put aside, for the moment, whether ancient medicine is effective. But consider her age. Do you think she, merely a child, is capable of performing life-saving surgeries? He had to concede the point. She was too young. At most 17 or 18, in their country people of this age are still in high school and haven't even entered college yet. How could such a child possibly have the skills to treat patients and save lives? He must have been insane to believe that this small child possessed medical skills. Abner withdrew his gaze, the fire of hope in his eyes extinguished completely. He looked at Miss G. Let's go. All right. Miss G nodded and said to the driver, drive to the Rue restaurant. The driver started the engine, and the black car soon disappeared down the road. 2 minutes after the car left, the previously unconscious old lady Shangguan slowly opened her eyes. The world spun around her, surrounded by faces, which made her somewhat dazed. Was she dreaming? She's awake. She's awake. She's really awake. Excited voices came from the crowd. Turns out the girl does have some real skills. Old lady, how are you feeling now? Yang slowly helped Old Lady Shangguan up. Old Lady Shangguan gradually regained consciousness. Yang? Why are you here too? Someone immediately said, Old lady, you have to thank this young girl. If it wasn't for her, you would be in danger. Yes, you really need to thank her. The crowd was buzzing, and Old Lady Shangguan understood what had happened. She had suddenly fainted on the road and Yang was passing by and saved her. Yang, thank you. Old Lady Shangguan held Yang's hand tightly. Yang smiled and said, Thank goodness you're okay. They'll take you to the hospital to get checked out just to be safe. Yang had already performed acupuncture on Old Lady Shangguan and was certain the addition of Western medical instruments would be doubly effective. These days, Western medicine is popular globally, and people are increasingly dismissing traditional Chinese medicine. Actually, both traditional and Western medicine have their strengths and weaknesses. Traditional medicine treats the root cause, while Western medicine treats the symptoms. Combining the two is the best way to benefit humanity. Okay. Old Lady Shangguan nodded. I appreciate it, Yang. Yang gently smiled and added, By the way, where is Xiaoxi today? Old Lady Shangguan replied, Xiaoxi had something to do today, so he didn't come with me. Oh. Yang nodded. The hospital was not far from here. Yang helped Old Lady Shangguan and they arrived at the hospital in no time. No matter the era, hospitals are always crowded. While Yang was registering for a number, Old Lady Shangguan found a public phone booth on the first floor and made a call. Yang successfully registered and helped Old Lady Shangguan to the cardiology department. On their way up, she unexpectedly saw a familiar figure in the first floor lobby. Was that Xianxia? Yang squinted. What was she doing at the hospital? And the direction Xianxia was heading towards seemed to be the gynecology and obstetrics department. The gynecology and obstetrics department. Could it be that Xianxia was pregnant? Yang smirked slightly. This was interesting. In a short while, Shangguan Su appeared in the cardiology department. He ran over, sweat splotches appearing on his forehead, even dampening the tips of his hair. Grandma, are you okay? I'm fine, thanks to Yang. Otherwise, it would have been a real disaster, Old Lady Shangguan said with a beaming smile. Where is Miss Anai? Shangguan Su looked around but didn't see Yang's figure. Old Lady Shangguan replied, Yang went to get my report. Oh. Shangguan Su nodded. While Yang was fetching the report for Old Lady Shangguan, she also managed to make a trip to the second-floor gynecology and obstetrics department. Over there, she saw Xianxia sitting on a blue plastic chair with her queue number. Considering Xianxia's current condition, she was very likely to be pregnant. Could the baby be Baichuan's? If Xianxia was really pregnant with Baichuan's child, would she still deliberately break up with him and still be entangled with Li Ting? Chapter 448. She is the person I'm looking for. _4. Yang squinted her eyes and didn't stay on the second floor for too long, quickly returning to the third floor instead. Shangguan Su was accompanying Old Lady Shangguan. When he saw Yang approaching, he promptly came forward and said, Miss I can't thank you enough for today. If it weren't for you, my grandmother's life might have been in danger. It was nothing, no need to mention it. Yang handed the report to Shangguan Su. Since you're here now, I'll be on my way. Shangguan Su continued, You're leaving so soon? Why not join us for a meal? Old Lady Shangguan chimed in. Xiaoxiu is right, Tong. You did us a huge favor. It would be improper if you left without having a meal. Yang replied with a smile, You're being too kind, but I need to attend to a few things at my shop. Goodbye, Old Lady Shangguan, Mr. Shangguan. With these words, Yang turned and walked away. Watching Yang's receding figure, Old Lady Shangguan remarked, Yang is really a good child. Shangguan Su watched Yang's retreating figure in silence. Outside, The sun was bright and slightly scorching. As Ni Yang walked out of the hospital, she unconsciously raised her hand to shield her forehead from the sun, allowing a sliver of light to penetrate through her fingers, casting a faint shadow on her curled eyelashes. "Miss Ni, wait a moment." A gentle male voice sounded behind her. Ni Yang slightly turned her head, a wisp of hair swept past her lips. Under the sunlight, her clear and sparkling peach blossom eyes were utterly captivating. This was the charm of a woman's graceful turn and enchanting smile. Shangguan Su was briefly stunned. He approached Ni Yang and handed her 100 yuan note. "I forgot to give you the fee for the medicine and registration." Ni Yang reached out to accept it, smiling. "Actually, you didn't have to bother coming all the way here. Old Lady Shangguan and I meet often." Shangguan Su said, "My grandmother has poor memory and feared she might forget, which is why she asked me to deliver this to you." Ni Yang flashed a small smile. "It's just a small amount of money, it wouldn't matter even if she forgot." "How could that be?" Shangguan Su continued, "You've already helped my grandmother so much, it's only proper to compensate you for the medical expenses. By the way, did you come on foot? Could I offer you a ride home?" Ni Yang declined with a smile. "Thank you, but there's no need, my bike is parked not far from here." With his handsome features, distinguished background, and the prestigious position he held, few women would reject Shangguan Su. Yet Ni Yang was one of those rare few. Shangguan Su, who had planned to drive Ni Yang home, was taken aback. He hesitated for a moment, before saying, "Okay, please be careful on your way." Ni Yang nodded slightly. "I will. Goodbye." "Goodbye." Shangguan Su waved at her before turning around to walk back into the hospital. When he returned alone, old Lady Shangguan asked unhappily, "Why did you come back alone? Didn't I ask you to accompany Yang Yang home?" Shangguan Su replied, "She came on her bicycle, so there was no need for me to send her." Old Lady Shangguan shook her head in frustration. "You really?" This grandson of hers was beyond help. He didn't seize opportunities, even laid in front of him. No wonder he was still alone. Shangguan Su changed the subject. "By the way, where's Xiaoxi? Isn't she usually the one who accompanies you on these outings?" Old Lady Shangguan replied, "Xiaoxi went to the mall with your father." "Xiaoxi went to the mall with Dad?" Shangguan Su asked, taken aback. "Your Aunt Lin and her daughter Chang Yu are also with them." Old Lady Shangguan continued, "Your dad gets along well with your Aunt Lin, who has a daughter 4 years younger than Xiaoxi. Today's outing was mainly to see if Xiaoxi and Chang Yu could get along." Despite not having met Lin Fong, Old Lady Shangguan already had a favorable impression of her. After all, Lin Fong had been introduced by one of their own. "What does Aunt Lin do?" Shangguan Su asked. Old Lady Shangguan replied, "She is in the education industry, a kindergarten teacher." Shangguan Su nodded. "She must have a lot of love to give." The Shangguan family was renowned, so even though they were considering a second marriage, they couldn't settle for someone mediocre. A profession like a teacher was ideal as it immediately gave the impression of an understanding and empathetic person. It also lent respectability. Old Lady Shangguan continued, "She's also of good character. I've heard that after her ex-husband passed away years ago, she kept painstakingly looking after her paralyzed mother-in-law. She is a rare gem of a daughter-in-law." Chapter 449. She is the person I'm looking for. _5. A flash of surprise flickered in Shangguan's eyes. "It is indeed a rare occurrence. I don't know how Xiaoxi is getting along with them." Madame Shangguan wasn't worried about this at all. Xiaoxi is very sensible. As long as Chang Yu does not object, this matter basically doesn't have any major problems. Speaking of which, Madame Shangguan went on to say, "But how about you, Xiaoxiu? Chang Yu doesn't have a father anymore. If this matter really succeeds, Chang Yu will likely be living in our house in the future. Would you mind having an extra sister?" Shangguan Su laughed. "The more people at home, the merrier. Of course, I wouldn't mind." "How old is he? Why would he mind such things? He isn't a child anymore," Madame Shangguan immediately asked. "Then what if your dad were to have a child with Aunt Lin? Would you mind then?" Although Shangguan Dehui was in his 40s, Lin Fang was only 38 years old. If she wanted to have a child, there would be no pressure to do so. The Shangguan family didn't worry about not having enough money to raise children. Moreover, in this remarried family, if they didn't have a common child, the relationship between the couple would be unstable. Shangguan Su laughed and said, "Grandma, you don't need to worry about me. It mainly depends on what my dad thinks." "All right." Madame Shangguan nodded. "I understand your meaning." Gynecology and Obstetrics Department. Xianxia was sitting on a blue plastic chair in the hallway, her expression indecipherable. At this moment, her mind was filled with the doctor's words. "You are pregnant." Yes, she was pregnant. Although she had been prepared, she was still heart-achingly excited. A child. She was having a child, she was having Mo Baichuan's child. As long as she had Mo Baichuan's child, she was not afraid of him discovering her secret. Xianxia gently touched her flat tummy, almost unable to believe that a small life was growing inside her. After a while, she stood up from the chair and headed towards the hospital exit. Even though she was overjoyed, she didn't show it. She just walked up to the public telephone booth and made a phone call. Today was the day that Lin Fang and her daughter Changyu were to go shopping at the mall together with Shangguan Dehui and his daughter Shangguan Shi. So, Lin Fang and Changyu made a point to come early. For the meeting today, the mother and daughter had dressed up especially nice. Changyu put on a dress worth 58 yuan and a pair of real leather shoes. Normally, she could never bear to wear such a dress. But today was different. Today, Shangguan Shi was coming as well. Shed heard that Shangguan Shi was not very good-looking, so not only did she want to outshine Shangguan Shi in terms of appearance, but she also wanted to dress better than her. She wanted to seem more like a rich heiress than Shangguan Shi. Only then could she leave a good impression on Shangguan Dehui. As Lin Fang was touching up her makeup in front of a mirror, she said, "Xiaoya, be sweet when you meet them later. But try not to talk too much when you can just smile." Families like the Shangguans view behavior and speech very importantly. The more you say, the more likely you'll make mistakes. Whether you can become a young lady of a wealthy family and make your way up the social ladder all depends on your performance today. If their meeting today went smoothly, then the next time they meet, Shangguan Dehui would suggest that she meet Madame Shangguan. Once she had met with Madame Shangguan, marriage would not be far off. Therefore, today's meeting was vitally important. "Mom, rest assured," Changyu said with a smile. "It'll definitely charm the father and daughter pair so much that they won't know which way is north." Changyu didn't have many talents, but she was certainly good at flattering and coaxing people. Besides, who wouldn't want such a huge fortune? As long as she performed well, she could marry Shangguan Su in the future and become the lady of the Shangguan family. With this thought, a light filled Changyu's eyes. Lin Fang nodded with a smile, "That's my good girl." Changyu continued, "Is it only Shangguan Shi coming today? Is Shangguan Su not coming?" Lin Fang replied, "Shangguan Su is a bank manager, he doesn't have the time to come. You just need to get along with Shangguan Shi." Oh, a flash of disappointment flickered in Changyu's eyes. As a mother, how can Lin Fang not know what Changyu was thinking? She put away her makeup mirror and looked at Changyu. "Once your mom successfully marries into the Shangguan family, do you still worry about not having the chance to meet Shangguan Su?" Changyu nodded. "You're right, Mom." After a while, the figure of Shangguan Dehui appeared in the distance. As he approached, he greeted them, "Hello, Xiaolin." Chapter 450. She is the person I'm looking for. _6. Here we are. Lin Fang's eyes lit up, pulling Changyu towards the front and introduced, "Xiaoya, this is your Uncle Shangguan." "Nice to meet you, Uncle Shangguan." Changyu bowed while searching for the silhouette of Shangguan Shi. "Where is Shangguan Shi?" Did she feel so ashamed because she saw how pretty I am, so she didn't dare to come? That's too disgusting. And here she is, a little miss. A few ridicules flicker in the depth of Changyu's eyes. Lin Fang continued, "This is my daughter Changyu. By the way, where is Xiaoxi? Didn't you say she would come too?" "Hello, Xiaoya." Shangguan Dehui nodded, and continued, "Xiaoxi ran into a classmate outside the mall. She should be here soon." Oh, right. While they were talking, a tall figure in a small suit walked over. Dad. Shengguan Dehui turned his head. Xiaoxi, let me introduce you. This is Auntie Lin, and this is her daughter Changyu. Not only is Shengguan Zai's facial features exquisite, her tall figure accentuates her good looks. In her neat short hair and small suit that highlight her figure, her pair of beautiful eyes scan over Lin Fang and Changyu, projecting great charisma. She is indeed born of a wealthy family. Changyu, when compared to her, wasn't even fit to hold a candle. The high-spirited Changyu suddenly became low-spirited after seeing Shengguan Shi. Nice to meet you, Auntie Lin and Xiaoye. Shengguan Shi greeted politely. Lin Fang smiled and said, Xiaoxi, you are so beautiful. Unlike Xiaoye, who has been an ugly duckling since she was little. Shengguan Shi said, That's not true, Auntie Lin is being too humble. Xiaoye is beautiful too. Changyu greeted formally, Hello Sister Xiaoxi, I'm Changyu, just call me Xiaoye. Okay. Shengguan Shi tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. As she moved, a jade bracelet on her wrist became visible. Changyu's eyes almost popped out. The jade bracelet was so beautiful. It must be super expensive. Seeing how Shengguan Shi was dressed, Changyu suddenly thought that her own 58 yuan dress was downright shabby. Lin Fang subtly pinched Changyu's arm, and Changyu withdrew her gaze. They chatted while wandering around the mall. Shengguan Shi offered to buy some clothes for Changyu, but Changyu politely refused. Thank you, Sister Xiaoxi, I appreciate your kind gesture. But there's no need to buy clothes. I have enough to wear. Shengguan Shi smiled and said, Just buy a few. Consider it a token of affection from your sister. Changyu said, There really is no need. My mother has taught me since childhood to be frugal. As long as I have enough clothes to wear, I shouldn't pursue flamboyancy and beauty. Shengguan Dehui nodded contentedly. It was clear that Lin Fang had raised her daughter well. Shengguan Shi was also very pleased with her new sister. After shopping, the four of them went to a restaurant to eat. In order to leave a better impression on Shengguan Dehui and Shengguan Shi, Lin Fang secretly paid the bill. The rich sure are rich. A regular meal cost 368 yuan. Thinking about it made Lin Fang's heart ache. But again, if 368 yuan were to be exchanged for a lifetime of wealth, it didn't seem to matter so much. After all, no pain, no gain. When Shengguan Dehui tried to settle the bill and found out that Lin Fang had already paid, he said embarrassingly, We agreed that it was my treat. How could I let you pay? Lin Fang laughed and said, Nowadays we advocate gender equality and freedom of love. If you always pay, wouldn't this contradict the concept of gender equality? Lin Fang's performance did not go wrong, which satisfied both Shengguan Dehui and Shengguan Shi. After the party broke up, Shengguan Shi asked straightforwardly, Dad, when do you plan to marry Auntie Lin? Shengguan Dehui was taken aback. Although he thought Lin Fang was a great candidate for a wife, he hadn't thought about when to get married, so this question surprised him. Perhaps some dreams and some people should really be forgotten. Shengguan Shi continued, Auntie Lin is really a good person, you should seize this opportunity. Shengguan Dehui nodded, I know. So you still haven't decided when to get married? Shengguan Shi asked again. Time flies. Her father has been alone for so many years, and now that he has finally met the right person, Shengguan Shi really doesn't want him to miss out again. Shengguan Dehui replied, Your grandma hasn't met Auntie Lin yet. We are not in a hurry for this. Shengguan Shi smiled and said, Don't worry, grandma will definitely like Auntie Lin too. Shengguan Dehui nodded. When I find the time, I will bring Auntie Lin home to meet your grandma. Yeah, Shengguan Shi held Shengguan Dehui's arm, as long as you are certain. On this side, as soon as Shengguan Dehui and Shengguan Shi left, Changyu couldn't wait to say, Mom, how did I do? Wasn't my performance great? Lin Fang smiled and said, Very good, it was fabulous. Changyu continued, Mom, did you see the clothes and jewelry on Shengguan Shi? When you marry into the Shengguan family, you can't play favorites. I want the same clothes and jewelry too. Lin Fang tapped Changyu's forehead. Silly girl, do I still need you to tell me that? Changyu was overjoyed. Her face was full of unhidden smiles. as if she had already become a little princess. On the second day, Xianxia came to a private clinic early in the morning. Are you sure you want to abort this child? The private clinic's doctor repeatedly confirmed with Xianxia. Yes, I'm sure. Xianxia nodded, her face pale. The doctor continued, although abortion is a minor surgery, accidents may happen. If no family members can guarantee, I'm afraid we cannot perform the surgery for you. Xianxia said, I can be my own guarantor. That's not the way. The doctor shook his head. If an accident happens during the abortion procedure, it could cost both lives, and the doctor does not dare to take this risk. Unable to find a guarantor, Xianxia had no choice but to find Li Tingji. When Li Tingji received this call, he immediately turned to Mo Baichuan. Baichuan, has sister-in-law called you? You're talking about Xianxia? Mo Baichuan tuned to look at Li Tingji. Yes. Li Tingji nodded. Mo Baichuan continued, what happened to her? Chapter 451. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. _1. Li Tingji looked at Mo Baichuan and continued, she's pregnant. These 4 short words made Mo Baichuan flabbergasted. There was a strange silence in the air. After a while, Mo Baichuan finally raised his head. What did you say? Li Tingji said word by word, your sister-in-law, she's pregnant. Xianxia is pregnant? Mo Baichuan could hardly believe his own ears. He was the one who took Xianxia's innocence, therefore, it was clear who the father of the child was. How could this happen? He thought that he and Xianxia would become strangers, but unexpectedly, Xianxia was actually pregnant. No wonder Xianxia insisted on breaking up with him. So she was holding this card all along. Mo Baichuan's expression became especially ugly. What does she want to do now? Wants me to marry her? Mo Baichuan looked at Li Tingji, with blatant scorn in his eyes. Li Tingji frowned. Baichuan, what do you mean by this? Mo Baichuan's face turned icy. From the very beginning, was all of this a scheme by Xianxia? Li Tingji exploded in anger. Mo Baichuan, do you still have a conscience? Your sister-in-law has never thought about using the child to blackmail you. She wants to abort the child, and she is now in the hospital because the abortion procedure requires family consent. She has no friends or family in Beijing, so she had to find me. I was going to ask if you still wanted this child, because this is your first child. But now it seems that you are just heartless and ungrateful. Xianxia had given up so much for Mo Baichuan, but in return, she only received suspicion from him. Was it worth it? She wants to abort the child? Mo Baichuan squinted his eyes. The child is the only trump card Xianxia holds. Would she really want to abort it? Li Tingji tried to calm down, then continued, Baichuan, I haven't known your sister-in-law for a long time, but I know that she is a really good girl. The child was an accident. If she really wanted to use the child to blackmail you, she wouldn't be in the hospital, but she would go to your family, your grandparents. This would be their first great-grandchild. Do you think they would neglect her? But she didn't. She didn't want to cause you any more trouble. She just wanted to silently abort the child. She didn't even have any family member around who could sign the consent forms, and yet she still had no complaints. But what about you? Instead of understanding her, you question her. Are you being fair to her? Mo Baichuan remained silent. He was now unsure whether or not Xianxia was putting on an act. Li Tingji no longer wasted words with Mo Baichuan and continued, your sister-in-law is at the private clinic on Wenan Road number 69. Whether or not you want the child, it's all up to you. As your brother, I have said all I need to say. After saying this, Li Tingji turned and walked away. Mo Baichuan watched Li Tingji's retreating figure, his eyes filled with mixed emotions. He and Li Tingji had been brothers for over 20 years. He knew well that Li Tingji was not the sort of man who couldn't discern right from wrong. Could it be that he was the one who was mistaken? Mo Baichuan absently slumped into a chair, lighting a cigarette. Li Tingji rushed to the hospital without delay. Xianxia was sitting on a blue plastic chair, her face a bit pale. Sister-in-law. Li Tingji managed to say these 2 words with difficulty. Tingji. Li Xianxian lifted her head, looking behind Li Tingji. Mo Baichuan hadn't come, which was within Li Xianxian's expectations. Mo Baichuan was naturally suspicious. If he had followed Li Tingji here, it would have caused an issue instead. Li Xianxian nodded. I see. I'm sorry. Li Tingji looked full of regret. It was his fault. Li Xianxian had trust in him, and he had let her down. It's okay. Li Xianxian managed a bitter smile. Perhaps this is my fate. Fate? She never believed in fate. If she did, she wouldn't have managed to leave the mountains in the first place. She believed that after today, her fate would change for the better, bringing prosperity with it. Li Tingji wanted to continue, but Li Xianxian interrupted him. Go and sign the papers. Okay. Li Tingji nodded and headed towards the doctor's office to sign the paperwork, followed by Li Xianxian. As he was about to sign, he hesitated, looking at Li Xianxian with a wish to say something. The doctor said, I have something to attend to. Why don't you two discuss a bit more? Okay, thank you, doctor. Li Tingji quickly expressed his thanks. Chapter 452. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. _2. After the doctor left, Li Ting looked at Li Xianxian, lowering his voice. Xianxian, please keep the child. I am willing to give you and your child a legitimate status. After all, Li Xianxian's first time was with him, which meant the child had a 50% chance of being his. As a potential father, how could he personally end his child's life? He couldn't do it. He couldn't overcome his own emotional barrier. Li Xianxian seemed to have perceived Li Ting's worries. This child is Baichuan's. You are so certain? Li Ting asked. Li Xianxian spoke. I'm the mother of the child, and I understand better than anyone else. Tingji, if you wish me happiness, it's best to forget about that night. We are just close friends to each other. Her words served as an indirect reminder to Li Ting that she was the victim that night when he forced himself on her. So, no matter whose child this was, the child's father could only be Mo Baichuan. Li Xianxian was a smart woman. She knew how to keep Li Ting at bay. People say that a woman in love has 0 IQ, but in reality, a man in love can be even more foolish. Like Li Ting. Li Ting sighed. Xianxian, have you really thought it through? Yes. Li Xianxian gave a slight nod. For the one I love, I have no regrets. Li Ting massaged his temple in agony, then signed his name on the guarantee letter. Looking at the signature on the guarantee letter, a calculating expression flashed in Li Xianxian's eyes. After a while, the doctor returned. Li Ting handed over the guarantee letter to the doctor. The doctor took the letter. So, have you two decided not to keep the child? You're mistaken, he's my brother, Li Xianxian corrected him. Brother? Hearing this, Li Ting's eyes were full of bitterness. Oh. The doctor nodded, then said, since you've decided, I have to make clear some precautions before the surgery. The abortion might affect your fertility in the future, it could even lead to infertility. Li Xianxian hesitated for a moment, then said, I am willing to take any consequences. All right, the doctor sighed, let's prepare for the operation. Li Ting glanced at Li Xianxian, wanting to say something, but in the end he remained silent. At the base, Mo Baichuan sat in his office, chain-smoking. In no time at all, the ashtray was filled with cigarette butts. After a while, he picked up the phone and dialed a number. Hello, check on Li Xianxian for me. After all, the child that Li Xianxian was carrying was his. Mo Baichuan couldn't be indifferent. About 10 minutes later, his phone rang again. Mo Baichuan picked up the call with a blank expression. How are things going? Li Xianxian is currently at a private clinic on Wenan Road, lining up for an abortion. Mo Baichuan frowned slightly. Is Li Ting the guarantor? The guarantor is Mr. Li. Is the information accurate? Mo Baichuan asked. The person on the other end of the line confirmed it. The information is accurate. Li Xianxian is scheduled to have the operation in half an hour. Mo Baichuan continued, keep an eye on her. All right. Soon, half an hour passed. The phone rang again. Ms. Li is in the operating room. The cigarette in Mo Baichuan's hand dropped to the floor at that moment. It seemed that Li Xianxian wasn't putting on a show for him. She was truly determined to abort the child. No, he couldn't let this happen. The child was innocent. Mo Baichuan's upbringing taught him that he couldn't commit such a conscienceless act. Li Xianxian lay on the cold operating table. The surgeon was a kind middle-aged woman in her 40s. Holding the surgical instruments, she asked with a tone of reluctance, "Miss Li, are you sure about this?" Was she really sure? Li Xianxian didn't know. She was gambling. She was gambling that Mo Baichuan would come. If Mo Baichuan didn't come, then all her efforts would have been in vain. Li Xianxian firmly gripped the sheets beneath her. Her knuckles had slowly turned white from the force. "Doctor, could you give me a few more minutes to think?" "All right." The surgeon nodded. Outside, Li Ting sat anxiously on the blue plastic chair. Just then, Mo Baichuan burst in with a group of people. Seeing this, Li Ting's eyes brightened. He quickly stood up and said, "Baichuan, you're here." Chapter 453. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. _3. Where is Xianxian? Mo Baichuan's expression was somewhat cold. Li Ting subtly pressed the pager in his pocket. "Your sister-in-law has already entered the operating room." The pager is the precursor to the mobile phone, which cannot answer calls but only receives messages. In 1983, the first paging station in the country was opened in Shin City. In 1984, pagers began to appear in Beijing. There are dozens of types of pagers. Some look like a mini diary, small and delicate. Some were as light as a card, very portable. Some were like a ballpoint pen and could be put in the pocket of a jacket. Some were even made into brooches or necklaces and hung in front of the chest. Some were integrated with a watch and worn on the wrist. And the pager of Li Xianxian was similar to a ballpoint pen shape. After receiving Li Ting's message, Li Xianxian's eyes lit up and she said, "Doctor, I have made up my mind. Please perform the surgery." "Okay." The surgeon picked up the anesthetic injection. As the needle was just entering Li Xianxian's arm, someone kicked the door of the operating room open from outside. "Stop!" Mo Baichuan directly grabbed the injector. The surgeon was scared. "Who are you?" "This is the operating room. Outsiders can't just come in." "Out of the way." Mo Baichuan brushed the surgeon aside, lifted Li Xianxian from the operating table and left the room as an assistant followed behind tidying up. Mo Baichuan then took Li Xianxian to a reputable hospital. Dr. Xiaolin, around his mid-20s, was a friend of Mo Baichuan. He patted Mo Baichuan's shoulder and said, "Don't worry. There's nothing wrong with the fetus. The mother has been in a coma due to extreme shock." Mo Baichuan then asked, "Xiaolin, how long has she been pregnant?" Dr. Xiaolin answered, "Over 2 weeks, almost 3. Based on calculations, the child was indeed his." Mo Baichuan's expression was indescribable and the crystal-clear face appeared before his eyes. Dr. Xiaolin, curious, asked, "By the way, what is your relationship with this pregnant woman?" Mo Baichuan didn't want to hide anymore and responded, "I am the father of the child." Dr. Xiaolin was stunned as if he had heard something incredible. "Seriously?" Mo Baichuan was known to have a peculiar personality, aloof and did not like mingling with girls. Many had sent him love letters during school, but all were ruthlessly rejected. Upon becoming a high-ranking official, no one could catch Mo Baichuan's eye. But now, someone was actually carrying Mo Baichuan's child. That was simply incredible. Mo Baichuan slightly nodded, yes. Even though he didn't want it to be true, but it was the truth. Dr. Xiaolin then said, "Baichuan, you're too much. You got married and didn't invite me." At this time, getting pregnant before marriage was not acceptable, so Dr. Xiaolin naturally assumed that they were already married. Mo Baichuan added, "We are not married yet." "No way." Dr. Xiaolin looked at him in shock. It was unimaginable that someone so disciplined would do something outrageous. Pregnancy out of wedlock. If it is bigger trouble, it can even be considered a hooligan crime. "No, really," Dr. Xiaolin lowered his voice. "Brother, what's going on?" Mo Baichuan looked impassive. "It's not something that can be explained in a few words." "Do you plan to marry her?" asked Dr. Xiaolin. Mo Baichuan replied, "Barring any unexpected developments, The wedding should occur in the near future. Dr. Xiaolin said with a smile, "Don't forget to invite me to the banquet at that time." "Okay." Mo Baichuan nodded, but there was no hint of a smile on his face. Marrying Li Xianxian was not about love, but responsibility. The two men chatted as they went outside, oblivious to the fact that Li Xianxian, who should have been unconscious, was now wide awake and filled with a triumphant expression. Had she finally waited for this day? Li Xianxian's hand quietly touched her abdomen. "Child, you must make me proud." When Mo Baichuan reappeared in the ward, Li Xianxian was already awake. When she saw Mo Baichuan, she looked surprised and said, "Why are you here?" She portrayed herself as if she had no clue about anything. If the Oscars were hosting at this moment, Li Xianxian would surely win an award. Mo Baichuan looked at Li Xianxian and said without expression, "Li Xianxian, let's get married." Chapter 454. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. _4. Marriage? Li Xianxian furrowed her brows slightly. "You already know about it?" "Yes." Mo Baichuan nodded. "We have broken up already. The child inside me has nothing to do with you. I don't need you to be responsible. Please leave." Li Xianxian turned her face away, refusing to look at Mo Baichuan. Apparently he had misjudged Li Xianxian. Guilt clouded Mo Baichuan's face. "I've made my decision. We are getting married." "I disagree." Li Xianxian bit her lip and continued. "Baichuan, you are still young with a prosperous future up ahead. I don't want to trap you with this child. Please leave. I will not marry you." Li Xianxian knew Mo Baichuan too well. She knew what to do to make Mo Baichuan feel even more guilty. If she acted too dramatically at this point, Mo Baichuan would definitely be suspicious. If she flatly refused, Mo Baichuan would also grow suspicious. Therefore, Li Xianxian had to refuse this from the perspective of considering Mo Baichuan's best interest. No man would question a woman who wholeheartedly treated him well. Especially a person as suspicious as Mo Baichuan. "It's just a child. It won't affect my future," Mo Baichuan responded indifferently. Li Xianxian continued, "I have made up my mind. I am going to abort the child. Baichuan, I can't drag you down because of my selfish love." There aren't many people like Li Xianxian who so selflessly think of the person they love. People eventually have to get married anyway. It's better to choose a virtuous woman like Li Xianxian. These words from Li Xianxian further confirmed Mo Baichuan's desire to marry her. "Xianxian, don't worry. I will take responsibility for you and the child. I will give you a complete home in the future." Mo Baichuan held Li Xianxian's hand emotionally. Li Xianxian was extremely excited inside, but showed hesitation on her face. But Mo Baichuan interrupted her directly. "No buts. I will call my parents and notify them. By my calculations, they should arrive in Beijing no later than the day after tomorrow. Then, they'll take you to meet them." Li Xianxian looked at Mo Baichuan. "Baichuan, are you really not going to regret it?" "I want." Mo Baichuan shook his head. Although Mo Baichuan said he wouldn't regret it, the image of a woman with beautifully painted features appeared once again before his eyes. Anai Yang. If Anai Yang found out about this, she would be heartbroken and might even take drastic actions. But nobody could be blamed for this. He had given Anai Yang opportunities before. It was her who didn't cherish them. Now, it would be useless for Anai Yang to regret. Xiao Zhou informed Anai Yang of Li Xianxian's pregnancy as soon as he found out. Anai Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. "Is the child Mo Baichuan's?" Xiao Zhou didn't directly answer her question. Instead, he said, "I don't know whose child it is. But Mo Baichuan believes it to be his and is even considering marrying Li Xianxian." "Is that so?" Anai Yang smiled faintly. "By the way, Yang, we also bought these pictures from a photography enthusiast." Xiao Zhou handed a stack of pictures to Anai Yang. Anai Yang took them and flipped through them one by one. The corner of her mouth curled up faintly. "I'll take all of these pictures. How much are they?" Xiao Zhou chuckled. "These pictures are not expensive, and didn't you already pay me before?" Anai Yang took out 200 yuan and placed it on the table. Last time was last time, This time is this time. Li Xianxian is getting married. As her sixth aunt, she should prepare a generous gift, of course. She would definitely give Li Xianxian a big surprise on their wedding day. However, Xiaozhou refused. It's only a small favor. You really don't need to be so formal with me, Yang. And Yang wasn't the type to take advantage. Laughing, she said, Xiaozhou, just take it. I have something else to ask you for. If you don't accept this, I won't have the heart to ask. Upon hearing this, Xiaozhou had to accept. What else do you need, Yang? Just say it. And Yang continued, can you get the Zheng family's contact information from your side? Xiaozhou thought for a while, then said, do you mean the Zheng family that's on good terms with the Mo family? And Yang nodded, yes. Xiaozhou said, that's easy. After a pause, he continued, did you know that the Zheng family lost a daughter a long time ago? I'm not sure if they found her. The Zheng family lost a daughter? And Yang was surprised. Xiaozhou continued, actually, Zheng Lingling is not the biological daughter of the old Mrs. Zheng. The old Mrs. Zheng's real daughter went missing more than 30 years ago. As it turns out, Zheng Lingling was her sister's daughter. After her sister's family suffered an unexpected tragedy, she entrusted Zheng Lingling to Mrs. Zheng, coincidentally around the same time that Mrs. Zheng's own daughter went missing. Chapter 455. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. _5. Xiaozhou, after all, is a detective, and he has a clear understanding of these matters. Ordinary people can't afford a detective. To do business with the rich, he naturally has to familiarize himself with the details of every high-ranking official and nobleman in Sijio City. Yen was surprised to hear that Zheng Xianjing is not the biological granddaughter of old Madame Zheng. The Mo family exploded at the news of Li Xianxian's pregnancy. In theory, it should be a joyous occasion for Mo Baichuan, who's already in his prime, to have a child. After all, old Master Mo and old Madame Mo are hoping to hold their great-grandchild. However, the problem lies in the fact that the woman got pregnant before marriage, and that woman happens to be Li Xianxian. In the past, the Mo family was quite satisfied with Li Xianxian as a potential daughter-in-law, but lately, her behavior has been a disappointment to them. Additionally, Mo Baichuan's parents aren't fond of Li Xianxian. Now that the deed has been done, the Mo family, being the traditional one it is, deeming their reputation and discipline highly, they can't possibly leave the pregnant Li Xianxian unattended, nor could they ever do anything that would risk a life. Mo Rongping and Xiu Jiao rushed to Beijing overnight. Mo Rongping was always a compassionate father, but he looked somewhat unhappy that day. In front of the entire Mo family, he made Mo Baichuan kneel. Mo Baichuan knelt down on the spot. Mo Rongping cried out in anger, Mo Baichuan, I've taught you since you were young that a man should stand tall and be responsible. But look at what you've done. You've completely disgraced the Mo family. Mo Baichuan kept his back straight. Dad, I know I was wrong. I will take responsibility for Li Xianxian. Where are the family rules? Bring them here. The butler immediately brought a whip. The older generation of the Mo family were all veterans, and they wouldn't hold back when it comes to discipline. With one whip, Mo Baichuan's back tore open with blood pouring out. Mo Rongping was not the least bit distressed, and dealt 3 vicious blows. Although old Madame Mo and old Master Mo pitied him, they could not intervene. The atmosphere in the living room was extremely oppressive, and everyone's faces were tense. Everyone was worried for Mo Baichuan, only Mo Qishan seemed relaxed. He lounged on the couch, eating sweet grapes, and watched the spectacle unfold almost like a spectacle. He thought to himself, this nephew of his was bound to be killed by his own stupidity one day. As Mo Rongping went to deliver the 4th blow, Xiu Jiao grabbed the whip. What's done is done, hitting him now won't help anything. Old Madame Mo chimed in. Xiao Jiao is right, Rongping, even if you beat Baichuan to death now, it wouldn't change the situation. We should discuss when to hold the wedding. Regardless, the child in Xianxian's belly is the first heir of our Mo family. In wealthy households like theirs, the first child always holds significant meaning. Mo Rongping sighed deeply, dropped the whip at hand, and continued, how can we decide this matter unilaterally? We should invite the girl's parents to discuss together. Mo Rongping was not the type of person who disregarded proper etiquette. Old Madam Mo added, "You don't have to worry about that. Xianxian is an orphan without any family. Let Baichuan bring Xianxian here tomorrow." Mo Rongping nodded, "That should be fine." Xiao Jiao said, "Now that she's pregnant, we cannot delay the wedding. The sooner the better, otherwise when she starts to show, others will laugh at our Mo family for lacking discipline and decorum." Originally, Xiao Jiao didn't like Li Xianxian. She thought Li Xianxian was too vain and not a good match for Mo Baichuan. But now, even if she was dissatisfied, she had no choice but to accept it. The next day, Mo Baichuan brought Li Xianxian home to meet his parents. This time, Li Xianxian behaved very well and did not use her pregnancy as an excuse to be difficult, which changed Mo Baichuan's parents' impression of her. Moreover, Li Xianxian is a poor child with no parents. Xiao Jiao held Li Xianxian's hand and said, "Xianxian, the first 3 months of pregnancy are the most critical. You must take care of your health, avoid catching a cold or taking medications, avoid getting angry, maintain a happy mood, and also be careful with your diet. You cannot have hawthorn, spinach, strong tea, or coffee." Li Xianxian doesn't have a mother, so these things must be taught by her mother-in-law. Li Xianxian nodded obediently, "Okay, Auntie, I'll keep that in mind." Xiao Jiao was fairly satisfied with her future daughter-in-law. She continued, "Now that you're carrying a child, it's not appropriate for you to stay in a dormitory. I have a small villa on Hully Mile Road, where you can stay temporarily during this time." Chapter 456. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. _6. Li Xianxian laughed and said, "Auntie, I'm not that high maintenance, staying in a dorm is fine." "No way." Xiao Jiao shook her head, "There are too many people in the school, it would be troublesome if you bumped into someone. I've hired 2 servants in that small villa, they'll take care of your daily needs." After all, what Li Xianxian was carrying in her belly was her first grandchild. How could Xiao Jiao not put importance on it? Li Xianxian then said, "Auntie, you really don't have to go through so much trouble. It's settled then, you don't need to refuse." Xiao Jiao directly shoved the key into Li Xianxian's hand. Li Xianxian knew that it would be ungrateful to refuse at this point, so she laughed and said, "Thank you, Auntie. We're family now, there's no need to be so polite." Xiao Jiao continued, "As for the school, we've already arranged your leave of absence. The wedding will be taken care of by me and Baichuan's father. During this period, you just need to focus on your pregnancy." "Thank you, Uncle and Auntie." Xiao Jiao held Li Xianxian's hand and talked a lot more. Li Xianxian knew how to make people happy. With a few words, Xiao Jiao dropped all her prejudices. From an angle where Xiao Jiao couldn't see, a glint of triumph flashed in Li Xianxian's eyes. She finally entered the doors of the Mo family. The news of Mo Baichuan getting married to Li Xianxian spread throughout the entire upper-class society in less than a day. Mo Baichuan getting married? Upon hearing the news, Zheng Xianjing was devastated. What the hell is going on? Didn't Mo Baichuan just dump Li Xianxian? How could they be getting married in the blink of an eye? Is she dreaming? Zheng Xianjing pinched herself hard. It hurt a lot. She wasn't dreaming. She couldn't just sit around and wait for death. She had to take action. Zheng Xianjing narrowed her eyes, grabbed her bag, and headed downstairs. As soon as she got down, she saw Zheng Lingling rushing in from outside. "Xianjing, something terrible happened." Zheng Lingling grabbed Zheng Xianjing's hand, looked around and said, "Let's go inside to talk." "Okay." Zheng Xianjing nodded. The mother and daughter went inside. Zheng Lingling closed the door. "Xianjing, Baichuan and Li Xianxian are getting married. I already know about this." Zheng Xianjing seemed relatively calm. "Mom, don't panic, they're just getting married. As long as they're not married yet, I still have a chance." Zheng Lingling frowned. "It's not as simple as you think." "What do you mean?" Zheng Lingling continued, "I went to the Mo's this morning. Your grandma Mo quietly told me that Li Xianxian is pregnant." "What?" Zheng Xianjing's face turned pale. "Pregnant?" She never imagined that Li Xianxian would get pregnant. No wonder they are in such a hurry to get married. So it turns out there's a bun in the oven. Didn't they just break up a few days ago? How could she get pregnant so quickly? That little bitch Li Xianxian, how could she be so shameless? Zheng Lingling sighed. How smart she is. She knows the principle of mother being noble by her son. Why didn't we think of this method? If she had known about the principle of mother being noble by her son, she should have tried to get Zheng Xianjing pregnant. Zheng Xianjing was nearly suffocated, with mixed feelings in her heart. It took her a great deal of effort to find out who Mr. Mog was, and now the prize was snatched away by someone else when it was nearly in her grasp. Mom, what if Li Xianxian's baby were to accidentally be lost? Would she still have a chance of marrying into the Mo family? Zheng Xianjing hatched a plan and turned to look at Zheng Lingling, her eyes filled with malicious intent. Li Xianxian gained nobility by her child? If there's no child, how could she be noble? Zheng Xianjing wouldn't let anyone steal the throne of Mrs. Mog. Zheng Lingling narrowed her eyes. Xianjing, you mean? Zheng Xianjing nodded. Zheng Lingling continued, this matter sounds easy, but it's not so easy to do. Once we're discovered, we'll be in big trouble. At this moment, there was a knock on the door from outside. The mother and daughter immediately stopped talking. Who is it? The voice of the servant came from outside. Madam, it's me. Someone on the phone is looking for Miss Xianjing. Who's looking for me? Zheng Xianjing asked. She was not in mood to take a call right now. The servant continued, a Mr. Mog. Mr. Mog? Could it be Mo Baichuan? Zheng Xianjing brightened up and immediately said, I'll come down right now. Zheng Xianjing came downstairs and carefully picked up the phone. Hello. But the voice that came was not Mo Baichuan's, but a deep and mellow voice, as if the person was speaking right beside her. Miss Zheng, hello. Who are you? Zheng Xianjing frowned slightly, losing much of her enthusiasm upon realizing the caller wasn't Mo Baichuan. The other side chuckled, it doesn't matter who I am. What matters is that I can help you. Who exactly are you? Zheng Xianjing was getting impatient. I don't have time to play riddles with you. As I said, I'm someone who can help you. I don't need your help. Saying this, Zheng Xianjing was about to hang up the phone. But the person on the other end, as if knowing that Zheng Xianjing wanted to hang up, continued, Miss Zheng, don't be in a rush to hang up. I know a secret about Li Xianxian that no one else knows. About Li Xianxian's unknown secret, of course Zheng Xianjing wanted to listen. Go ahead. There was another chuckle from the other end. Miss Zheng should understand that there is no such thing as a free lunch, right? What do you mean? Quid pro quo. He continued, 30,000 yuan for Li Xianxian's hidden secret. 30,000 yuan is not a small sum. Currently, the financial power was still in the hands of old Lady Zheng. It would not be easy for Zheng Xianjing to get the money. Zheng Xianjing remained silent, her eyes thoughtful. The person on the other end of the phone continued, strike the snake at its weakest point. This secret is Li Xianxian's weak point. Miss Zheng, don't you want to take a gamble? Or do you want to just watch Li Xianxian marry Mo Baichuan? Regardless of whether the secret was Li Xianxian's weak point or not, the mysterious man's words successfully hit Zheng Xianjing's weak point. She absolutely could not let Li Xianxian steal Mo Baichuan away. Who are you exactly? Zheng Xianjing narrowed her eyes. Why should I believe you? Chapter 457. Zheng Xianjing took the bait, making money to support our Mr. Mo's family. _1. Zheng Xianjing was not a fool. She could not just believe in the authenticity of this man's words based on one phone call. What if he was a scammer? 30,000 yuan was not a small sum. She was the honorable young lady of the Zheng family. If word got out that she had been scammed, what face would she have to show in her circle? Miss Zheng doesn't believe me? I don't even know who you are. How do you expect me to believe you? Zheng Xianjing retorted. The man chuckled. The chance to overthrow Li Xianxian only comes once. Whether or not you can seize this opportunity is up to Miss Zheng. He added, my surname is Mo. If Miss Zheng trusts me, please send 30,000 yuan to Qingyi Detective Agency within 10 days. With that, he abruptly hung up the phone. Zheng Xianjing looked at the disconnected call. Looking confused, she quickly dialed back, only to find the line was busy. Xianjing, who was that on the phone? Zheng Lingling came down from upstairs. Just a casual friend. Zheng Xianjing calmly replied, scanning the surroundings, then continued, Mom, boo. Just then, a figure suddenly jumped beside them, pulling a scary face. The mother-daughter pair was significantly startled. Especially Zheng Lingling, her face turned pale, and she reached out to hit Zheng Suyu. Catching sight of the old lady lying at the top of the stairs, her expression changed. She giggled. Aunt Suyu, you're all right? Xianjing and I didn't scare you, did we? Zheng Suyu grinned foolishly. Fun, so much fun. Zheng Xianjing took Zheng Suyu by the arm and said, Aunt Grandma, let me take you back to rest. Zheng Xianjing turned into a considerate niece, helping Zheng Suyu upstairs. Stars, such beautiful stars. Ghost. You are a ghost. You want to hurt me? Zheng Suyu suddenly screamed and shoved Zheng Xianjing away, running towards the old lady Zheng's room. A ghost wants to hurt me. Aunt Grandma. Impatience flashed in Zheng Xianjing's eyes as she chased after her. Suyu. Old Mrs. Zheng opened the door, reaching out to hold Zheng Suyu's hand. Zheng Suyu hid behind old lady Zheng, visibly trembling, her eyes filled with terror as she looked at Zheng Xianjing. A primal fear radiating from within her. Strangely enough, ever since Zheng Suyu lost her sanity, she saw everyone as a ghost, except for old lady Zheng. She could even remember her name. Grandma. Zheng Xianjing respectfully said. Old Mrs. Zheng nodded, looking at Zheng Suyu. Don't be afraid, Suyu, this is Xianjing. Do you remember Xianjing? She is your great niece. Zheng Suyu was on the verge of tears, her voice trembling as she said, Ghost. She is a ghost. Old Mrs. Zheng sighed, holding in a severe cough. Xianjing, your Aunt Grandma is like this, don't take offense. Zheng Xianjing acted understanding. Grandma, I know, we are all a family, how could I blame Aunt Grandma? Cough, cough, cough. Old Mrs. Zheng couldn't hold back her coughing. She covered her mouth with a handkerchief, coughing violently. Grandma, are you okay? Zheng Xianjing started patting old Mrs. Zheng's back. Zheng Suyu, frightened, retreated several steps, hiding under the table, warily looking at Zheng Xianjing. Old Mrs. Zheng was coughing so hard her face turned pale. After a while, her coughing stopped. She continued, It's nothing, just an old ailment. After 3 years of coughing, old Mrs. Zheng had become accustomed to it. However, her condition in recent times was far worse than in the previous 2 years. She always felt her end was nearing. But she kept telling herself to persist. Her daughter was still missing. Zheng Suyu hadn't recovered. In this state, even in death, she wouldn't be able to rest in peace. Madam, Dr. Jiang is here. A servant entered with an elderly person. Dr. Jiang was a woman in her 50s or 60s, an old friend of old Mrs. Zheng. With her excellent medical skills and old Mrs. Zheng's trust in her, she had been serving as the personal doctor for old Mrs. Zheng, helping her regulate her body over the years. Aunt Jiang. Zheng Lingling immediately greeted her. Dr. Jiang nodded. Lingling, where's the old lady? Zheng Lingling looked at Dr. Jiang. My mom is upstairs. I'll take you to her. Okay. Dr. Jiang nodded. Chapter 458. Zheng Xianjing took the bait, making money to support our Mr. Mo. _2. As Zheng Lingling ascended the stairs, she turned to Dr. Jiang and said, Dr. Jiang, my mother's cough has gotten worse recently. As a daughter, it breaks my heart to see this. Can we do anything to relieve her cough and speed up her recovery? Dr. Jiang replied, Your mother's chronic cough, compounded by her old age and deteriorating health, won't improve overnight. It requires gradual treatment. Zheng Lingling nodded her agreement. As they climbed up the stairs, she took the initiative to steady Dr. Jiang's arm. Mom, Dr. Jiang is here. Zheng Lingling knocked on the door. Come in, came Mrs. Zheng's voice from inside. Zheng Lingling entered the room with Dr. Jiang. Xiaoyan. Mrs. Zheng rose to meet them. Zheng Xianjing followed suit and greeted her. Dr. Jiang nodded in acknowledgement, then turned to Mrs. Zheng with concern. Ah Qing, I heard from Lingling that your cough has worsened. Laughing, Mrs. Zheng said, it's not as bad as Lingling has made out. Zheng Lingling looked at Xianjing and suggested, Xianjing, let's take your great-aunt out so that Dr. Jiang and Grandma can talk. All right. Xianjing squatted down gently. Great-aunt Suyu, shall we go out? You are a devil. You want to hurt me? Suyu burst into tears, terrified. Zheng Lingling squatted down, coaxing, Aunt Suyu, shall we take you out for some candy? Yes. Suyu brightened up. Candy. Candy. Mother and daughter cajoled Aunt Suyu and managed to lead her out. Mrs. Zheng heaved a helpless sigh. Dr. Jiang inquired, didn't a self-proclaimed divine doctor who could cure Suyu come a while ago? From my observation, Suyu's condition hasn't improved at all. Recalling something, Mrs. Zheng burst out, divine doctor my foot. He was nothing but a fraudster. Upon hearing this, Dr. Jiang patted Mrs. Zheng's hand reassuringly. Suyu has her own fate. She will surely recover. I hope so. Mrs. Zheng sighed again. Dr. Jiang continued, by the way, Aching, have you heard anything about Tingting lately? No, Mrs. Zheng shook her head. It has been over 30 years. It wouldn't be that easy to find her. To be frank, I've given up hope. Dr. Jiang glanced at Mrs. Zheng, a hint of knowing sparkle in her eyes. No hope? Then why did she secretly send Hare for DNA testing? What old friends? What lifelong sisterhood? It's all a facade. If Mrs. Zheng considered her as a dear friend, she wouldn't keep secrets from her. Dr. Jiang narrowed her eyes subtly. Although you say that, you should still continue your search. After all, Tingting is your biological daughter. Lingling, despite being raised by you, isn't your flesh and blood. The proverb, our own children are our precious jewels, holds truer than ever. Dr. Jiang glanced at Mrs. Zheng, changing her tone. But speaking from my heart, Lingling is an exemplary and filial daughter, who cares deeply about your health every time I visit. Mrs. Zheng nodded. Indeed, Lingling is a good daughter. Dr. Jiang extracted a stethoscope from her medical bag and began to examine Mrs. Zheng, changing the topic. Aching, have you been taking your medicine on time recently? Yes, always on time. Dr. Jiang continued, has your toilet routine been normal? Yes, normal. After asking a few more questions, Dr. Jiang's smile faded. A look of concern clouded her face. Is my condition bad? Mrs. Zheng looked at Dr. Jiang. No. Dr. Jiang shook her head. Don't worry too much, you're in good health. Mrs. Zheng wasn't a fool. She had already perceived the answer from Dr. Jiang's expression. Xiaoyan, I'm now in my 60s and have weathered many storms. You can tell me straight, there's no need to tiptoe around it. Really, it's nothing. Dr. Jiang smilingly responded, Aching, you worry too much. I remember when you were younger, you would always fight and make a fuss with Zheng Jun because of this. Upon mentioning youth, Mrs. Zheng's face lit up with a faint smile. She appeared lost in old memories, as if back in those days. Back then, Tingting was still here. Suyu hadn't gone mad yet. Their family was so happy. Chapter 459. Zheng Xianjing takes the bait, earning money to support our Mr. Mo's family. _3. Dr. Jiang continued, oh, speaking of which, where is Zheng Jun? He should be in the Xiaohua garden. Zheng Jun is a typical scholar, tending to his books and plants every day. All domestic matters, big or small, were taken care of by Madame Zheng. Especially after their only daughter went missing, he practically stopped caring about everything. How many years have passed? Dr. Jiang sighed. He's still the same. You've broken your heart for this family while he behaves as if nothing's wrong. If not for Madame Zheng, the family would have fallen apart long ago. He's suffering inside. Their only daughter was lost, and the youngest sister went mad. No one knows the agony Zheng Jun suffers beneath his placid facade. He's suffering? You tell me, aren't you suffering too? Dr. Jiang continued, you really are lucky, Zheng Jun, to have such a wonderful wife. Madame Zheng chuckled. Xiaoyan, be honest with me, how's my health really? I've lived long enough to bear pretty much anything. You're really fine, stop overthinking, Dr. Chow said while writing out a prescription. Madame Zheng turned to Dr. Jiang. Xiaoyan, do you remember how old Lingling was when you first brought her home? Dr. Jiang gave it some thought. She was around 7, I think. I remember you had just lost Tingting, and Lingling's arrival helped you out of your grief. Zheng Lingling wasn't originally a Zheng. Her name was Chao Lingrui, Madame Zheng's sister's daughter. A plane crash took away both of Lingling's parents. The disaster came so suddenly that Madame Zheng didn't even have time to bid her sister and brother-in-law one last goodbye. Not even their remains were found. Fortunately, Zheng Lingling wasn't on that plane. After the disaster, Dr. Jiang crossed half the Pacific to bring Lingling to Madame Zheng's side. Both of them, one lost her parents, and the other lost her only daughter. Having shared this sympathetic experience and being kin, Madame Zheng transferred all her affection from her biological daughter to Lingling. She would welcome others with a smile in the day, like nothing was wrong, and would only sob in silence when the night was deep and still. Yes, Madame Zheng looked out the window, an indescribable look in her eyes. It's been 33 years in the blink of an eye. Lingling has grown up, and Xianxia is now 19. I don't have any more reservations. Qing, you need to continue searching for Tingting. Dr. Jiang patted Madame Zheng's hand. Well, let fate decide. Dr. Jiang continued, Qing, at least you're better off than me, you have a daughter. Even though Lingling isn't blood-related, she's so devoted. What about me? I fear when I die, no one will even know, just like Ms. Zhang. Ms. Zhang is a renowned figure in their circle. She was very modern and romantic in her youth, pursuing the spiritual world. She never married and died at 55 from a sudden heart attack. She fell into a coma in her villa, and because there were no relatives or friends nearby, she wasn't rescued in time, resulting in her death. Her death was only discovered a week later when the smell of her body started to permeate. Older people without family or children tend to overthink and live in constant fear. That won't happen. Madame Zheng comforted Dr. Jiang and patted her hand. Stop thinking nonsense. You still have your thoughtful nephews and nieces. Dr. Jiang sighed. Qing, I've recently thought about drawing up my will. Drawing up a will? Madame Zheng looked unbelieving. Dr. Jiang was her age, about 61 this year, but was much healthier and had no known illnesses. Even she hadn't yet thought about drawing up her will. Why was Dr. Jiang doing so? Outside the door, Zheng Xianjing, holding a tray with tea, was about to knock and enter. She stopped in her tracks and held her breath, listening to the conversation inside. Dr. Jiang chuckled. Honestly, I don't have much money, just a 5-figure number in my bank account, which is nothing to you. Dr. Jiang is an average doctor without a distinguished background. She was just an ordinary person before meeting Madame Zheng. Though it's just a few 10,000s of yuan, for an ordinary person, it's still a huge sum. After all, a bowl of noodles only costs 3 cents at this time. Speaking of which, Qing, have you ever considered drawing up a will? Dr. Jiang asked. Accidents happen when you least expect them. Given the size of Zheng family fortunes, it's better to plan these things in advance. Chapter 460. Zheng Xianjing took the bait, making money to support our Mr. Mo. _4. Hearing this, Zheng Xianjing's heart jumped into her throat. Madame Zheng nodded. To be honest, I've been considering this matter recently. Dr. Jiang said, You don't really need to think about this. Tingting is your biological daughter. All the Zheng family's property should naturally go to her. Zheng Tingting? A cold light flashed in Zheng Xianjing's eyes. This Dr. Jiang was certainly a troublemaker. Zheng Tingting had been dead for hundreds of years. Why mention her now? Madame Zheng laughed. Lingling is also my daughter. I can't leave all the property to just Tingting. I've decided if we find Tingting, I'll split the wealth equally, half for Tingting and half for Lingling. They're both my daughters, I won't favor one over the other. Madame Zheng was a good mother. Although Zheng Lingling wasn't her biological daughter, she raised her with her own hands. In her heart, Lingling made no difference from her own birth child. So, she would treat them fairly. Dr. Jiang smiled. Lingling is fortunate to have such a good aunt. In my heart, she has long been my own daughter. Own daughter? A mocking glint flashed in Zheng Xianjing's eyes outside the door. If this old witch seriously thought of Zheng Lingling as her own daughter, then she wouldn't be leaving only half the property to Zheng Lingling. After all, the one who's been by Madame Zheng's side all these years, showing filial piety, was Zheng Lingling. Zheng Tingting hasn't contributed anything, she didn't even call her mother. Why is she entitled to half of Zheng Lingling's inheritance? All of the Zheng family's properties should belong to Zheng Lingling. Adopted ones are never as close as real ones. Zheng Xianjing bit her lip, her face darkened. Dr. Jiang continued, "Qing, we must be prepared for all scenarios. What if you can't find Tingting?" Madame Zheng continued, "If we can't find her, I'll donate all the money to the orphanage in Tingting's name. This could also be seen as accumulating blessings for the child Tingting." Donate to the orphanage? Madame Zheng would rather donate it to the orphanage than leave it to Zheng Lingling, such a good mother indeed. Zheng Xianjing was almost furious to death. So all these years, she and Zheng Lingling's efforts were in vain. This old hag is an ungrateful wretch. At the moment, all Zheng Xianjing wanted to do was to barge into the room and splash the hot tea in her hand all over that old witch's face, to wake her up. Otherwise, she would never know right from wrong. Dr. Jiang nodded. "Qing, you've thought it through." The conversation inside was still going on, but Zheng Xianjing had heard the most important part. She hurried back to her room, telling Zheng Lingling everything she had heard. Upon hearing the news, Zheng Lingling said coldly, "I knew that old witch wasn't easy to deal with. After all, she wasn't born from the old hag's womb. No matter how good she was to that old witch, she wouldn't pay it back." But Zheng Lingling couldn't make peace. She had been serving this old witch so carefully for so many years. And in the end, it turned out that she had to compete with a dead person for property. How ridiculous! "Mom, what should we do now?" Zheng Xianjing was getting anxious. She didn't want to give up what was hers to someone else. Zheng Lingling said, "We don't need to rush on this matter. The immediate concern is how to stop the wedding of Li Xianxian and Mo Baichuan. Once you're married to Mr. Mog, that old witch won't dare to look down on us." Zheng Xianjing nodded. "Mom, you're right. But what should I do now?" The issue of Li Xianxian and the will were entangled together, and it made Zheng Xianjing's head swell. Zheng Lingling said, "We need to think it through. Getting Li Xianxian to miscarry isn't easy." As if remembering something, Zheng Xianjing said, "Oh yes, Mom." She told Zheng Lingling about the phone call from Mr. Mo. "Mom, what do you think?" Zheng Xianjing was still undecided. She didn't know whether she should believe that Mr. Mo. Zheng Lingling squinted her eyes. "Xianjing, how about we take a gamble?" "Mom." Zheng Lingling calmly took a sip of water. "If we win the gamble, you can marry Mr. Mog. If we lose, we'll just be out 30,000 yuan. Spending 30,000 yuan to buy the ultimate honor is worth it." Chapter 461. Zheng Xianjing took the bait, making money to support our Mr. Mo. _5. After all, the temptation was simply too great, and Lingling didn't want to miss out on such an amazing opportunity. After all, didn't life sometimes require a gamble? Just like back then. If she had not taken a chance then, would she have what she has now? Xianjing followed up, saying, "But where are we going to get all that money?" The absolute control over the Zheng family's finances now lay in the hands of Granny Zheng. She gave Lingling 8,000 yuan every month, while Xianjing only got 5,000. This many thousands of yuan is money that regular people could work years for and still not make, but among the wealthy, it's just pocket change, gone in a few rounds of mahjong. Lingling and Xianjing, the mother and daughter with big spending habits, would each spend 500 to 600 yuan every month on skincare products. With the addition of jewelry purchases and such, their money would be gone almost as soon as they'd gotten it. Where are they going to round up 30,000 yuan now? Lingling answered, "Don't worry about the money, I'll figure out something." "Mom, do you have some hidden stash of money?" Lingling didn't answer Xianjing directly, instead saying, "Xianjing, were you not just about to take some tea to Granny and Granny Jiang? I'll go with you so I can check on how Granny's health is doing." Xianjing picked up on faint footsteps outside the door and said with a smile, "Okay, Mom, you don't need to worry, Granny will be fine." The mother-daughter duo walked out the door to take tea to Dr. Jiang and Granny Zheng. Dr. Jiang gave Lingling a list of food that Granny Zheng should avoid and daily practices she should pay attention to before saying her farewells. Lingling said with a smile, "Dr. Jiang, let me see you out." Xianxia didn't exactly get along with Dr. Jiang. Ever since she had heard the conversation between Dr. Jiang and Granny Zheng, she disliked Dr. Jiang even more. It baffled her why Lingling was so nice to Dr. Jiang. "Xianxia, come with me to see Dr. Jiang off." Lingling turned to Xianxia. "All right." Xianxia obediently followed Lingling. Dr. Jiang laughed very kindly and said, "Back when Xianxia was just a baby you could hold in your arms, and now she has grown into such a lovely young lady." Lingling asked, "Xianxia, do you remember when you were a baby that Granny Jiang used to hold you?" Xianxia laughed and said, "That was so long ago, how can I possibly remember?" Lingling seemed dissatisfied as she glanced at Xianxia, but Dr. Jiang seemed unbothered and said, "Oh, it's not a big deal, children have short memories." Lingling said, "It's fortunate that you're not picky with her." When they got to the door, Dr. Jiang stopped. "This is far enough." She then seemed to recall something and took a bottle of medicine out of her bag. "I almost forgot. This medicine is very effective against coughing. Lingling, just put half a pill in the chicken soup when you're making it." Lingling very solemnly took the bottle and said, "Thank you for your trouble, Dr. Jiang." Dr. Jiang laughed and said, "Your mother and I have been as close as sisters for many years, there's no need for such courtesy." Lingling continued, "Dr. Jiang, are you free tomorrow morning? I have a friend who isn't feeling well, and I want to bring her over tomorrow." "Sure, I'll see you tomorrow morning then." "Goodbye, Dr. Jiang." Lingling pushed Xianxia. "Say goodbye to Granny Jiang." Xianxia carelessly said, "Goodbye, Granny Jiang." As soon as Dr. Jiang left, Lingling scolded Xianxia angrily, "Xianxia, this is a warning. From now on, you will not disrespect Granny Jiang." Xianxia sniffed dismissively and replied, "What's the point in you being so nice to her? You don't know what she says about you behind your back." Dr. Jiang clearly wasn't a good person. "She said one thing to your face and another behind your back." Lingling breathed out a sigh and gravely said, "Regardless, Granny Jiang is your elder. Remember to show her respect." "She's hardly an elder." Xianxia muttered, "More like a shit-stirrer." Lingling's expression darkened. "Xianxia, do you remember who you are?" "Sorry, Mum, I was wrong." Lingling carried on, "Do you know that if you keep acting like this, people will say that you have no manners?" Xianxia responded, "Mom, I only act like this around you. I never act this way around other people." Lingling sternly said, "You're not allowed to behave this way around me either. Habits form naturally." Chapter 462. Zheng Xianxia took the bait, making money to support our Mr. Mo_6. "Oh, I understand now. I want dare to do it again." Zheng Xianxia still had a decent attitude in admitting her wrongs, so Zheng Lingling didn't say much more. She turned around and walked into the house with Zheng Xianxia. Just as they entered the house, Zheng Lingling busied herself with making chicken soup for the old Madame Zheng in the kitchen. Zheng Xianxia was speechless. After all that old hag had done to them, she couldn't believe that Zheng Lingling was still so nice to her. She must be out of her mind. Phrase. In her opinion, she should replace all the medicine in the bottle with poison and kill that old hag. Ni Yang walked out of the public phone booth, the corners of her mouth curling into a light curve. Her dimples, shallow and charming, seemed to absorb everyone around. Her radiance outshone even the clouds in the sky. She walked all the way to the detective agency. Xiao Zhou was currently fiddling with an old-fashioned phonograph, completely unaware of Ni Yang's arrival. "Is it not working?" Ni Yang approached Xiao Zhou. Startled by the sudden comment, Xiao Zhou turned to see Ni Yang and broke into a smile. "It's not exactly that it doesn't function, it's just that the sound produced seems off, like a saw being drawn. Let me have a look." Ni Yang walked to the front of the phonograph. This was a very ancient phonograph. With its swan neck-like bend and large horn, it resembled a blooming trumpet flower, prideful and elegant. The large horn was made of pure copper, highly wear-resistant and non-fading. It was perfectly complemented by an elegant, traditional wooden cabinet. This type of phonograph originated from the Republic era. A few of them could still be found in the 1980s in China. In later generations, they all became precious antiques only seen in museums and with collectors. In her former life, Yang didn't have many hobbies. Collecting phonographs was one of the few. She fiddled with it for a while, put on the disc, pressed the start button, and instantly, melodious music flowed from the large horn. The night in Shanghai, you are a city that never sleeps, the lights are up, it's all song and dance. Xiao Zhou exclaimed in surprise, "That's amazing. Yang, you're really something. You even know how to repair phonographs." In these times, the most popular gadgets were radios. All the trendy boys and girls had radios in their hands, with a pair of earphones plugged into their ears. They couldn't have looked cooler. Earphones entered China around the end of the Qing dynasty when telegraph machines came into existence. Now, hardly anyone bothered with big, heavy, old-fashioned gadgets like phonographs. Xiao Zhou sometimes found it hard to figure out Yang. This girl, younger and slimmer than him but far more capable, seemed to harbor many secrets. Yang laughed lightly. "It's not that I'm amazing. It's just that I've studied it a bit." Xiao Zhou walked over and poured Yang a cup of water. "Yang, you must have something important to discuss, and that's why you came over, right?" Yang took the cup with both hands. "You guessed it correctly." Xiao Zhou grinned and asked, "What's up? Tell me about it." Yang took a sip of tea. "In the next few days, someone might send some money to Mr. Mog. When they do, just tell them he's out, you'll take care of the delivery, but keep the money for me." It wouldn't be appropriate for her to handle this in person, so Xiao Zhou would have to help. "Sending money to Mr. Mog?" Yang nodded slightly. "This Mr. Mog is you?" Xiao Zhou asked further. "It's me." Yang replied with a smile in her eyes. Xiao Zhou couldn't resist teasing. "Are you getting married and following your husband's title?" Yang answered with a faint smile. "I suppose you could say that." Turning his eyes to the screen, Xiao Zhou cleared his throat and continued, "The rumors about Qishan are not good, Yang. Are you sure you want him to be your boyfriend?" Yang retorted, "What others think doesn't matter to me. If I like him, that's enough." She genuinely didn't care. Reborn in a new life, she wanted to live life to the fullest and not be bound by restrictions. She wasn't willing to miss out on the people she loved because there wouldn't be another life after this. But once Qishan leaves the family, he's nothing. Xiao Zhou went on, "Yang, you're so outstanding. You deserve someone better." Qishan was known for his worthlessness, idleness, and even a broken engagement, totally ruining his reputation. Xiao Zhou was somewhat puzzled. Why was Yang interested in him? Yang said very seriously, "In my eyes, he is the best." Xiao Zhou added, "Do you know why Jing Xianjing and Li Xianxian both want to marry Mo Baichuan?" "I don't know." Yang shook her head. Next, Xiao Zhou shared, "According to my investigation, there is a high possibility that Mo Baichuan is actually Mr. Mog. Now do you understand why they're scheming to marry Mo Baichuan?" "Oh." Yang nodded. "Just like that? What did that mean?" Why was Yang's reaction so calm? "Don't you find it surprising?" Xiao Zhou asked. "Why should I be surprised?" Yang quirked an eyebrow and asked back. Xiao Zhou shot back, "This is Mr. Mog. Do you understand what Mr. Mog represents in Beijing?" "I understand." Yang responded, "It pretty much means supreme and unparalleled, doesn't it?" In the future, Mr. Mog's existence was still very mysterious, with a business empire under his control. He was respected and sought after by all. But it was weird that no financial newspaper had ever published anything about him. Yang was taken aback that Mo Baichuan turned out to be Mr. Mog. No wonder Li Xianxian was determined to marry him. Since Li Xianxian was reborn from a later era, she might have uncovered some secrets unknown to others. Knowing this, why are you still so calm? Xiao Zhou was at a loss. Yang shrugged. Whether or not he is Mr. Mog doesn't concern me. Should I react dramatically? Xiao Zhou continued, when it comes to talent and looks, Both you and Mr. Mog are head and shoulders above Li Xianxian and Zheng Xianjing. I think only you are worthy of Mr. Mog. Aren't you interested? And Yang, who had just taken a sip of water, almost choked upon hearing this. She spat out all the water in her mouth onto the ground. I'm not interested in him at all, so don't talk nonsense. Xiaozhou replied quite seriously, but I really do think that you and Mr. Mog are a good match. And Yang retorted, I'm only interested in Mo Qishan. Is that clear? She didn't really care about Mr. Mog or any of his titles. What Yang found puzzling was that the narcissistic Mo Baichuan turned out to be Mr. Mog, which totally overturned her understanding of him. It was quite inconceivable. Xiaozhou thought Yang was just too strange. She would rather become involved with a loser uncle than look at a promising nephew. Xiaozhou pointed out, but Mo Qishan isn't deserving of you at all. He doesn't even have a job, hasn't even graduated from high school. What will he support you with in the future? It doesn't matter if he doesn't have a job. I have money and that's enough. I can support him. And Yang replied directly. Chapter 463, I am Mr. Mog _1. And Yang is a very pragmatic person. She knows that most of the reasons for breakups between men and women in this world are rooted in the trivialities of life. All love ultimately disappears in these trivialities. However, as long as one's financial condition keeps up, all problems are no problems. If the woman is weaker in terms of finance, her status in family life will be inferior. If the woman takes up the major economic role, instantly the tables can turn. This is also the main reason why Yang doesn't rely on men. Because there's no better sense of security than relying on oneself. Therefore, she doesn't think there's anything wrong with her supporting Mo Qishan. Xiaozhou felt that his whole worldview was being overturned by Yang. She supports him? Yang is actually going to support Mo Qishan. If you look all over Beijing, you probably won't find a second woman willing to support a man, right? Yang, you're not joking with me, are you? Xiaozhou swallowed and turned to look at the screen. Yang's eyes were indifferent. What's there to joke about? When you really fall in love with someone, you're willing to give everything for them. Invisibly, Xiaozhou was being shown up by Yang and suffered a huge romantic blow. Why is he still alone? He also wanted to find a girlfriend who was willing to support him, whimper. Yang laughed and said, It's normal for you, a bachelor, not to understand all this. When you have a girlfriend, you'll understand my words today. Bachelor what? Dog? He already felt pitiful enough for being single. Why did she call him a dog? Xiaozhou was heartbroken. If he's the bachelor dog, what is Yang doing? Killing the dog? Yang spoke too quickly for a moment, and accidentally used a popular phrase from the future, and quickly remedied it with, a bachelor, aren't you single? Bachelor? Did he mishear out of sadness? Yang, didn't you just say a single dog? Yang laughed. Xiaozhou, are you stupid? Who would call themselves a dog? Xiaozhou touched his head. Although what Yang said seemed reasonable, he felt something wrong. But he couldn't quite put his finger on it. Xiaozhou temporarily forgot about the dog question and continued, Yang, you're not joking with me, are you? You really want to support Mo Qishan? Yang raised her eyebrows slightly. Do I look like I'm joking? Xiaozhou shook his head, his gaze unconsciously sliding from the screen. No. He then continued, but don't all you girls like men with power and status like Mr. Mog? Xiaozhou had seen all sorts of people. He had even seen girls at the age of 18 throwing themselves at men of 80. Mo Baichuan was not only rich and handsome but also the famous Mr. Mog. Yang had no reason not to like him. Yang frowned slightly. You're generalizing with your statement. Actually, not every girl likes men with power and status. Yang had seen too many girls in her previous life who'd rather laugh on a bicycle than cry in a BMW. Some girls are even willing to give their lives for the one they love. Such girls must be rare, right? Xiaozhou said. Yang smiled slightly. I suggest you go back and read the stories of Wang Ping and Shui Baochai, as well as Liang Shanbua and Zhu Yingtai. Stories come from life, and these characters do have historical prototypes. You can't deny their existence just because you haven't seen them yourself. Xiao Zhou was momentarily stunned. A touch of shame appeared on his face. Indeed, he had thought too narrowly of girls. He certainly couldn't deny their existence just because he hadn't seen them. It seemed like every time he chatted with Enai Yang, he was imparted with different life philosophies. She was like a treasure trove of knowledge, always bringing surprises. There was a hint of respect in Xiaozi's eyes when he looked at Enai Yang. Yang, you're right. Xiao Zhou continued, Oh Yang, can I ask you another question? Enai Yang nodded slightly. Xiao Zhou said, What do you like about Mo Qixin? Enai Yang touched her chin. Probably because he's good-looking, Mo Qixin's appearance was beyond reproach. And he was far more alluring than popular movie stars. If he were in the future, he'd be the kind of person who could live off his looks. Xiao Zhou, he probably won't be able to get married then. Why did he have to ask such a heart-wrenching question? Chapter 464. I am Mr. Mog_2. Xiao Zhou turned his head to look at the screen. Enai Yang, chuckling, asked, Why are you always looking at the screen? Hiding a beauty behind it? Xiao Zhou touched his nose. No, it's just that I think the patterns on the screen are fascinating. Enai Yang nodded with an ambiguous smile. Oh, I've got to go. I have some errands to run. Remember to collect money for me. Where are you going? Xiao Zhou instinctively asked. Enai Yang responded without looking back. To make money, to support our Mr. Mog at home. Xiao Zhou. He also wished someone could support him. After Enai Yang left, a tall, slender figure emerged from behind the screen. The dim light cast a layer of mystery on his distinct facial features, making it hard to read the expression in his narrow eyes. Buddy, you're quite lucky with ladies. Xiao Zhou walked over to Mo Qixin, patted him on the shoulder, and said, Even without a high school diploma, you attract people. What's more, someone is even willing to financially support him. For goodness sake. Comparisons are odious. Jealous. The man turned his eyes slightly and revealed a breathtaking face. His tone was deep, as if soaked in ink. Not jealous, in green with envy. Understand? Xiao Zhou stared at Mo Qixin, gritting his teeth. Xiao Zhou and Mo Qixin were friends from primary school. But Mo Qixin was so brilliant that they only studied together for 1 year before Mo Qixin skipped a grade to go to junior high school. Although they only had a year of formal education together, they amassed a profound friendship. In the years that followed, their bond became even stronger. Xiao Zhou completed junior and senior high school, and even made it into a prestigious university. But Mo Qixin seemed to lose his stride. He began to fall behind academically in junior high school, paid his way through senior high, and finally even dropped out before graduating. He disappeared for 4 or 5 years in between, then remained the same, living off his family's resources, idle, and ultimately even lost his fiancée. From a genius to a waste, it was a classic tale of self-destruction, and he became a joke within elite circles. As Mo Qixin's best friend, Xiao Zhou felt pity for him on numerous occasions. But now, he envied Mo Qixin immensely. Freaking hell. Despite all his hard work, he didn't have a girlfriend. And Mo Qixin not only had a girlfriend but a girlfriend who was willing to support him financially. Freaking hell. Comparisons are odious. Earlier, it was because of Mo Qixin being there that Xiao Zhou deliberately probed Enai Yang. He even told Enai Yang that Mo Baichuan was Mr. Mog, but she seemed unaffected. Mo Qixin hadn't expected his woman to love him so much. He knew he had chosen correctly. Xiao Zhou continued, but the most surprising to me is your grandnephew. He seemed unassuming, but turns out to be the famous Mr. Mog. That's just too incredible. Mr. Mog. Xiao Zhou had never imagined that Mr. Mog would turn out to be his good friend's grandnephew. Mo Qixin's facial expression remained unchanged, but his eyes hinted heavily, indeed, he's quite impressive. Not just impressive, he's freaking impressive. Xiao Zhou continued, your grandnephew is so accomplished, you, as his uncle, have to buck up too. Xiao Zhou was a true friend to Mo Qixin, so he spoke without pretense and genuinely cared for him. As he finished, Xiaozhou solemnly added, "You're not getting any younger. You can't go on like this. You need to accomplish something, to show those who look down on you and mock you." Emo Qishan was a very smart man. Xiaozhou believed that as long as Emo Qishan put in the effort, he would definitely make great achievements. The condition being that he should make an effort. Mo Qishan touched his nose, responding in a lukewarm tone. "Why should I work so hard? After all, someone is supporting me, unlike you, who's still single." Xiaozhou. He suspected there was a dog slaughter but had no evidence. After a silence, Xiaozhou expressed his frustration. "Don't you want to one-up Zhao Jingrong?" He was somewhat perplexed. How had a man once so spirited become so markedly different? Xiaozhou earnestly wanted to know what had happened to Emo Qishan over the years. "Why should I bother her?" responded Emo Qishan. "I don't even like her." Then Xiaozhou questioned, "Zhao Jingrong dumped you, don't you feel a hint of anger?" Emo Qishan's mouth curved slightly as he laughed. "Correction, I dumped Zhao Jingrong." Chapter 465. I am Mr. Mog _3. To Xiaoza's surprise, as if he had just heard a hilarious joke, he stood on his tiptoes to feel Emo Qishan's forehead. "Bro, are you running a fever?" Everyone in Beijing knows that Emo Qishan was dumped by Zhao Jingrong, but Emo Qishan claims he dumped her. Isn't that self-deception? Emo Qishan simply smiled without uttering a word. Xiaozhou continued, "Bro, you don't have to suffer to save face in front of me. Everyone in Beijing knows that after Zhao Jingrong dumped you, she blatantly boasted about marrying Mr. Mog." Upon saying this, Xiaozhou seemed to suddenly recall something and covered his mouth. "Oh my God! Isn't the person Zhao Jingrong plans to marry your grandnephew? Doesn't that screw up the family hierarchy? I wonder if Zhao Jingrong knows yet that Mr. Mog is actually your grandnephew." Wei Jun. Emo Qishan spoke in a light tone. Wei Jun was Xiaoza's full name. He would only be addressed this way when Emo Qishan was extremely serious. "What's up?" Xiaozhou looked up at Emo Qishan. Emo Qishan continued, "Actually, Mr. Mog is not my grandnephew." "Then who is he?" Emo Qishan, looking undisturbed, with his sharp features blurred under the dim light, revealed slowly, "Actually, I am Mr. Mog." Upon hearing this, an eerie silence fell upon the room. Haha. The next second, Xiaozhou burst out laughing, tears streaming from his eyes. He patted Emo Qishan on the shoulders. "Bro, are you trying to make me laugh to death so you can inherit my 2 cents worth of assets?" This had to be the funniest joke he had heard all year. "Mr. Mog? Why don't you say you can ascend to the heavens?" "No, wait. I think it'd be more likely for you to ascend to the heavens than to be Mr. Mog." Emo Qishan replied lightly, "I'm serious." All right, Xiaozhou patted Emo Qishan's shoulder. "You can tell me, after all, we're brothers." Emo Qishan continued, "Wei Jun, I am indeed Mog." "Qishan, I also have a secret to tell you." Xiaozhou suddenly turned serious. "Tell me." Xiaozhou looked at Emo Qishan and continued, "Qishan, actually I am the Jade Emperor." Whispering, he added, "I came to the mortal world to endure trials and tribulations." Emo Qishan stared at Xiaozhou as if looking at a deranged person, and spoke with an incredulous expression. "That joke isn't funny at all." Xiaozhou responded, "So you do know it's not a funny joke?" Emo Qishan, "I really am Mog." Xiaozhou, "I am really the Jade Emperor." Emo Qishan, how was he supposed to respond to that? In the end, Xiaozhou added, "If you're Mog, I'll eat shit." Emo Qishan didn't respond and just stroked his nose. Xiaozhou gave Mo Qishan a pat on the back. "Keep working hard, bro. Snap out of your dreams. Do you know how many people are laughing at you in Beijing?" Emo Qishan responded with a small smile. "Only by doing so can I see people's true colors more clearly. Otherwise, you'll never know whether you're surrounded by friends or foes." Xiaozhou rolled his eyes in disbelief. "You talk as if you're really Mr. Mog." "Sigh, did the fact that your grandnephew is Mog affect you?" Emo Qishan remained silent and took 4 stacks of bills from his briefcase. "This is for you." "What is this?" "USD." Emo Qishan replied indifferently. Considering USD is 8 times the value of RMB, These 4 stacks were worth at least several 100,000 RMB. Xiao Zhou was no longer calm. Where did you get so much money? Earned it. Mo Qishan stated concisely, you need money right now, right? This is for you. Even though I really need money right now, I can't accept this. Xiao Zhou pushed the money back. Mo Qishan was currently unemployed. This money was surely leached from his both parents. How could he use an elderly couple's money? It seemed that Mo Qishan saw through Xiaoza's thoughts. He added, go ahead and take it. This money really was made by me and has nothing to do with my parents. I really can't take it. Xiao Zhou responded adamantly. Mo Qishan picked up his briefcase and stood up. Consider it an investment from me. Just remember to share the profits with me at the end of the year. Hearing this, Xiao Zhou finally decided to accept. Don't worry, bro, I definitely won't let you lose out. But even now, Xiao Zhou wouldn't believe that this money was his own. Chapter 466. I am Mr. Mog_4. Mo Qishan did not explain further, but only said, I believe you. Good brother. Xiao Zhou extended his hand and patted Mo Qishan's chest. A manor in Beijing. In a luxurious room lay a middle-aged woman with blonde hair and blue eyes. She was voluptuous, her face radiant. If not told, no one would know that she was a woman on her deathbed. She sat up in bed, revealing a weak smile towards the door. Miss G, you've come. Miss G walked in from outside with nutritional supplements, asking with concern, are you feeling better? Thank you for your concern, I am feeling much better. But as soon as she finished her sentence, her face turned pale, her breathing weak. She looked as if she could stop breathing at any moment, a dreadful sight. Miss G was startled, immediately pressing the emergency alarm by the bed. An urgent alarm rang out. Several people who looked like doctors ran in from outside, first performing defibrillation, then administering oxygen rapidly. After a series of treatments, the middle-aged woman on the bed gradually regained consciousness, opening her eyes. Miss G, pale from fright, stepped forward and asked, how are you feeling now? Is there anywhere you still feel uncomfortable? The middle-aged woman didn't have the strength to speak, she simply blinked weakly. At that moment, the sound of hurried footsteps came from outside the door, and a tall man rushed in. Mom, are you all right? The middle-aged woman could not muster the strength to reply. A doctor in a white coat said, Mr. Abner, may we speak with you in private? The doctor's expression seemed grim. Miss G shot a worrisome glance at the middle-aged woman on the bed. Abner followed the doctor outside. Only then did the doctor slowly start, Mr. Abner, you must be prepared for your mother's illness. Usually when a doctor suggests mental preparedness, the patient's condition doesn't end well. But Abner had difficulty facing reality. My mother is only 50 years old. Her life has barely begun. Please, try to find another way. The doctor shook his head helplessly. Your mother is nearing the end. I suggest you start preparing for the end. Isn't there any other way? Abner, with a pained expression, said, I am willing to pay any price if it will allow my mother to live. He had lost his father at a young age. His mother had raised him single-handedly, and just when she finally could have a few good days, she was stricken with a terrible disease. As her son, he felt unbearable heartache. The doctor regretfully said, if we continue like this, it would only increase the patient's pain. Rather than prolong her suffering, it may be better to let her pass quickly. Abner pressed his temples in pain. There really isn't any other way? No, as doctors we wouldn't stand by while a person dies. The doctor continued, suffering from this kind of disease, the pain a patient endures is unimaginable to us. Each breath is like being pierced with a needle, the pain is unbearable. If you truly love your mother, I suggest you allow her to be free from her pain sooner. Abner was silent, a pained expression on his face. After a while, he finally said, all right, I understand. If there's nothing else, I will take my leave. Abner nodded his head. After the doctor left, Miss G immediately comforted him, Mr. Abner, don't be upset. In China, we have a saying that there will be a way when it seems impossible. I believe your mother will get better. Miss G had heard everything the doctor said. Although she believed that Abner's mother was terminal, she knew comforting words were still necessary. Mr. Abner. A male assistant walked over. Chinese medicine has broad and profound knowledge. Perhaps you could try hiring a traditional Chinese medicine doctor. The man speaking was Abner's personal assistant, Li Long, a genuine Chinese. Hearing this, Abner seemed to have found a lifeline. He replied, "Then I'll leave this matter to you." "All right." Li Long nodded his head. Miss Ji said, "Mr. Abner, I think you should consider this carefully." Li Long raised his eyes in surprise at Miss Ji. Miss Ji continued, "Traditional Chinese medicine is often conservative and rule-bound. They are not good at innovating. Your mother's illness is quite serious. If they can't treat her successfully and even worsen her condition, it would be a disastrous mistake." At this moment, Li Long even doubted if Miss Ji was actually Chinese. Chapter 467. I am Mr. Mog_5. How can someone denigrate their own country so much? Li Long said, "Miss Ji, you're mistaken. Traditional Chinese medicine has been passed down for thousands of years and has benefited countless humans. If traditional Chinese medicine were really as bad as you say, wouldn't China have been destroyed long ago?" Miss Ji laughed lightly and replied, "If traditional Chinese medicine is really that good, why is it that you can't find a traditional Chinese medicine hospital on every street corner? The few existing traditional Chinese medicine stores are on the brink of closure. Western medicine dominates today, and it is indeed difficult to find large-scale traditional Chinese medicine hospitals in the country." Li Long frowned slightly. "Miss Ji, what you're saying is simply unreasonable." Miss Ji said, "Li Long, being patriotic is good, but we must be sensible. Do you realize that your suggestion could kill Auntie?" No matter what, Miss Ji would not believe in traditional Chinese medicine. Over the years, all her serious and minor illnesses had been cured by Western medicine. She vaguely remembers, when she was very young, she also drank extremely bitter Chinese medicinal soup. A simple cold can be cured by Western medicine with just one injection, while traditional Chinese medicine would require a week of specifically prepared concoctions for a slow recovery. This is also why traditional Chinese medicine declined so rapidly. With that, Miss Ji looked at Abner. "Mr. Abner, do you still want to consult a traditional Chinese medicine doctor?" Abner pinched his temple. "Let me think a bit more." Li Long wanted to say something, but he swallowed his words. After a while, Abner said, "Li Long, go ahead and get a traditional Chinese medicine doctor to give it a try." Miss Ji turned pale and was about to speak, but she was stopped by Abner's raised hand. Miss Ji had to shut her mouth with discontent. Li Long was happy and replied, "Yes, sir." The traditional Chinese medicine doctor was brought back quickly, an old man in his 60s or 70s with white hair. Li Long took the initiative to introduce him. "Mr. Abner, this is Dr. Wang. Dr. Wang comes from a long line of traditional Chinese medicine practitioners. His ancestors served as imperial doctors in the palace. He has a high reputation in Xianxia City." Miss Ji's face was full of disdain. What kind of nonsense imperial doctor? If he were so skilled, would the Qing dynasty have fallen? Fortunately, Dr. Wang did not notice Miss Ji's contempt. Upon hearing that Dr. Wang's ancestors were imperial doctors, Abner's face immediately showed a look of respect, and he said with his accented Chinese, "Dr. Wang, please come this way. I'm entrusting my mother's care to you." Dr. Wang followed Mr. Abner into the house. After examining Abner's mother's condition, Dr. Wang shook his head. "This disease is too strange. I have been practicing medicine for more than a decade, and I have never seen such a strange disease. Not to mention ever encountering this disease, even the medical books of his family did not have any record of it." Upon hearing this, ridicule flashed in Miss Ji's eyes. She thought he was an incredibly famous doctor, but it turns out he couldn't even diagnose the disease. "How embarrassing!" Mr. Abner then asked, "Dr. Wang, what do you mean?" Dr. Wang stroked his beard. "You might want to seek out someone more skilled." The light in Abner's eyes dimmed bit by bit. Was there really no hope for his mother's illness? Li Long then spoke up, "Dr. Wang, you're the most skilled traditional Chinese medicine doctor in Xianxia City. If even you can't treat it, Who else can we turn to? Dr. Wang replied, "Thank you for your compliment, but there's always a bigger fish. The depth and breadth of traditional Chinese medicine are vast. Just because I can't treat the disease, doesn't mean others can't." Miss G snorted, "I told you long ago that traditional Chinese medicine is outdated, inflexible, and incapable of treating serious diseases. Li Long, you didn't believe me. Now do you see it with your own eyes?" She belittled and dismissed traditional Chinese medicine in her words, infuriating Dr. Wang, who was listening. "Young lady, how dare you speak this way?" Miss G laughed. "Don't get worked up. I'm not targeting you, I'm simply stating facts." "What facts?" "You're insulting traditional Chinese medicine." As a practitioner of traditional Chinese medicine, Dr. Wang would not allow anyone to insult it. Miss G retorted, "If traditional Chinese medicine is truly effective, why couldn't you cure Auntie's illness? I'll tell you a hard truth, don't take it to heart. We're now living in an era dominated by Western medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine should have been overthrown long ago. If our people don't strive, sooner or later, they will be enslaved. The tragedy of invasion will be repeated. This is due to my personal limitations and has nothing to do with traditional Chinese medicine." Dr. Wang replied, "Since you think Western medicine is so powerful, why couldn't it cure this lattice illness?" Miss G was left speechless. You're tuning in to the Wandering Hero YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.